Get in pole position for cheaper van insurance. With mustard.co.uk. With top insurance providers, a 5-minute pit stop with us could get you out in front in the race to savings. See what you could save and compare your van insurance today. With mustard.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard podcast with Lucas Jaguar. Buy your next car or book your MOT service or repair online. It's game day, and this is the home of Scottish football. It's Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Good afternoon and welcome to a 6-game Premiership Saturday on Clyde One Super Scoreboard. First up, champion Celtic go to impressive early season performers Motherwell. Rangers will have the chance to respond to whatever their Glasgow rivals do when Aberdeen visit Ibrox later. Hibs Dundee, Killie St Mirren, Ross County Hearts and St Johnstone Livingston make up a bumper day in Scotland's top flight, and you are in the company of Gordon Dalziel, Mark Wilson and Hugh Keevins.
It's been almost 40 years since anyone outside of Celtic or Rangers won the championship in this country. The last team to do it was Aberdeen. Will it ever happen again? Well, we'll find out about the strength of Aberdeen's challenge when they take on a seriously depleted Rangers at Ibrox. But first, Motherwell are fourth on the table, just 4 points behind leaders Celtic. Could they reduce that deficit to a single point when they take on Brendan Rodgers' side at Fir Park in under half an hour? We will learn an awful lot today about the strength of our flagship competition, the Premiership. 6 games in one afternoon, that's a novelty for a start.
Yeah, Hugh's entirely right. We don't usually get 6 games in one day in this country, so we've got a lot to look forward to, and an early kick-off away at Fir Park for Celtic always serves up a good fixture to start with. And then later on this afternoon, Rangers Aberdeen, always a level of intrigue in that one. Rangers hit by so many injuries, Aberdeen a wee bit resurgent in recent weeks. That should be a cracker all over the country. Great fixtures to come.
Looking forward to this afternoon. A lot of good football on the card. Gordon starts today at the home of dreams, Fir Park. Everybody talks about Motherwell being in good form. Lost their last 2, so it'd be great for them to bounce back, but very difficult against a Celtic team that's not lost a game in the league yet. So, and then you look down the rest of the fixtures, plenty of goals, plenty of action, plenty of talking points.
Strap yourselves in for a 6-hour 6-game Saturday in the Scottish Premiership with plenty of big games beyond down the divisions. And if we can stop Gordon Dalziel talking about the Ryder Cup between now and 6 o'clock as well, we'll be doing well indeed. The first game up is at Fir Park. It's the lunchtime game between Motherwell and Celtic, and Gabriel has the teams.
Yes, I do, Gordon. You need to tell the Dazzler to forget about golf. It's all about football. A massive game here at Fir Park. A chance for Celtic to extend their lead at the top of the table to 5 points before the rest of the league play this afternoon. But let's start with the hosts, Motherwell, who sit 4th after an impressive start to the campaign. They've lost their last 2, but manager Stuart Kettlewell believes his side are playing at a high level and could have won both of them. His team are unchanged from their 1-0 defeat to Rangers last week. A huge show of faith from the manager, backing up his claims about how well he feels his team have been performing. They stick with that 5 at the back formation. It's captain Liam Kelly in goal. There'll be Stephen O'Donnell, Paul McGinn, Bevis Mugabe, Dan Casey and Brodie Spencer across the defence. Lennon Miller and Harry Payton are in midfield, and Callum Slattery and Blair Spencer just ahead of them, supporting Theo Bair, who leads the line. Substitutes: Oxborough, Gent, Ross, Blaney, Suare, Shaw, Stravovski and Wilkinson. And the defending champions then, well, Brendan Rodgers' side are out here training in front of me. They are where they want to be right now. They've won their last 3 league games without conceding a goal, despite having massive injury problems at centre-half. And it has been a positive week for the club, tying down 3 players, Anthony Ralston, Reo Hatate and Matt O'Reilly, to new long-term contracts. Two of those players start today in a lineup that sees two changes from last weekend's impressive 3-0 win over Livingston. Scott Bain comes in for the suspended Joe Hart, whilst Hyungjun Yang will replace James Forrest on the right-hand side of the attack. Let's see their 11 then. It's Scott Bain in goal, a defensive Alistair Johnson, Gustav Lagerbielke, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor, Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly and Reo Hatate are in midfield, with Dayton Maeda, Hyungjun Yang and Kyogo Furuhashi up top. The substitutes are Siegrist, Phillips, Turnbull, Holm, Forrest, Tomoki Iwata, Palmer and Ralston. Now, it was a 0-0 draw the last time these sides met back in April last season. It's the only time Kettlewell has managed his team against the Hoops. He's looking for his first big scalp at Fir Park. Incidentally, Celtic are the only team to amass more points than the Steelmen since Kettlewell was appointed at the start of the year. But you wouldn't bet against Celtic picking up all three here, as Rodgers' side look to be getting into their stride. The referee is Willie Collum. VAR will be monitored by Grant Irvin, and kickoff is just over 20 minutes away.
Mark Wilson, what do you make of that Celtic team this afternoon?
Well, strong, of course. I mean, the forward six, if you like, is as strong as you could hope for. Kyogo leading the line once again with Maeda and banging form, but it's that midfield. Hatate back in the side, just fresh off a new deal. O'Reilly the same. O'Reilly really been the standout for Celtic in terms of getting goals from midfield as well. The back line's always going to, throw up a few questions. Liam Scales keeping his place. I'm happy for him, but like I said on Thursday night, he has to keep performing at the level he is. Anything below, he knows he's got people waiting in the wings to come in and replace him. Lagerbielke, well, we've had our thoughts on him. He looks a bit shaky, could do with a couple of solid performances, but it's strong for Celtic. Goalkeeper, arms force with that one, or the hands force should I say. So no surprise there, but looks a strong side.
Yeah, and Gordon, for Motherwell, a Motherwell team that have produced performances in the last two games that have delighted the manager Stuart Kettlewell, and yet no points to show for it, and it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah, they'll take a bad performance in 3 points this afternoon, there's no doubt of that. But I'm looking through that team. The man in form for me, I think, could cause a problem this afternoon is Slattery. I think he's been excellent. I thought he had a terrific game at Tynecastle, a well worked goal and a good finish. Because I look at the rest of it going, Bear up front, he scored one goal. I think it was an opening day against Dundee in the first half, just on half time. Not really added a lot to the attack. Van Veen, you've taken all those goals out the attacking side of the team, but it's up to these guys to stand up and be counted. It will be a difficult game. They're at home, terrific conditions for a good game of football this afternoon, but they're up against tough opposition.
Hugh, the fixture list in terms of away games has been quite testing for Celtic early on in the season. They've gone to Punditry and won, they've gone to the ultimate venue and won, and then somewhere that can be sticky like Livingston down to 10 men and winning. So that side of the season will be delighting Brendan Rodgers for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he took great heart from the win with 10 men at Livingston last weekend, called it a monumental win, and he's spoken about the mentality of the players taking a leap forward in the week. So today, another test of them. I'm surprised that Lagerbielke's playing, I have to say. I thought that it was the perfect opportunity to play Nat Phillips, because Lagerbielke can't play against Lazio in the Champions League on Wednesday. However, Brendan Rodgers obviously compartmentalises things, and he is concentrating on the league and the league only. The other thing we'll find out today, Celtic, to my way of thinking, should have bought a goalkeeper in the summertime transfer window, didn't. Now minus Joe Hart, and Scott Bain making a rare appearance. He had a cameo role last weekend, and he was anything but convincing. Celtic should have bought a goalkeeper.
Kick-off fast approaching at Fir Park. We're going to hear from Stuart Kettlewell and Brendan Rodgers next. And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
action as it happens. And your reaction from 5 on the open line. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
6 games in the Scottish Premiership this afternoon. First up is Motherwell against Celtic. It is a 12:30 kickoff. So let's get the pre-match thoughts of Stuart Kettlewell, followed by Brendan Rodgers.
I think we're going to face a team that's starting to really click into gear. Obviously a new manager, but a manager that obviously knows what the football club's all about, knows what it's like to taste success. So I expect them to be really getting up into gear, and they'll carry a major threat.
Well, I think they're obviously very, very well coached. They play the shape very, very well. They all look very clear in terms of what it is they're doing, and they have a nice mixture in the game. They build the game short, but they can also build it long as well. And so I think Stuart's done very, very well there. He's obviously gone in and coached them very well. And like I say, going to Motherwell is always a tough game. I think in my experiences of going to there, it's a tough game, always with a really good atmosphere. The pitch is normally fantastic, so it should be a very good football game. So we'll prepare for a tough game.
Well, it's only a week since Michael Beale said that Rangers got away with one when they played Motherwell and won 1-0. He said it didn't even feel like a victory. So that's a tribute to Stuart Kettlewell and how he has gone about his business. But Celtic, they have an obligation. In the 12:30 kickoff, their obligation is to win and take a 7-point lead over Rangers on a day when Rangers are seriously depleted and are playing an Aberdeen side who look to be rejuvenated. We'll find out how rejuvenated they are when we see how they fare against that depleted Rangers side. But the job that Celtic have to do is put Rangers under pressure by beating Motherwell.
I think there's a hope. Mark Wilson, maybe part expectation from the Celtic fans, and Brendan Rodgers, you listen to some of the language he used, as Hugh says, about it being a sort of monumental win or a big step forward. I guess today's when we start finding out if Livingston was a real platform to build on going forward.
I would say so, because it's a tougher test. Motherwell started the season incredibly well, and it showed last week how well they've done when they went to Ibrox and they created a good couple of chances and played some eye-catching football. So it's going to be a bigger test for Brendan Rodgers' side. And when you look at the start of the season that he's had, and the victories away from home, Aberdeen, Rangers, Livy, was a big one, but this is another test. So if he gets out of Fir Park with 3 points and a good performance, then it's gradual steps are taken to something what he wants it to look like, something what resembles what went before in his time. And it's taken a wee bit of time to get there, but I think they're on the right path.
We tend to comment on the pitch every week, whether it's for negative reasons. When Celtic go to Livy, Brendan Rodgers there pointing out that it's good, it's a good thing, it's aesthetically pleasing, it's the right thing to do. But the difference when you go to somewhere like Motherwell is that doesn't become an advantage, if you like, or a leveller. Celtic will go and enjoy that surface, won't they?
Oh, it's incredible, Gordon. It's one of the best pitches going about. They've done a remarkable job at Fir Park, and I'll tell you, any player stepping onto that pitch will be absolutely delighted with it. Looking forward to playing. It suits Celtic's passing, move, style of football. I'm looking at the both sides here, and you're thinking, how can Motherwell get an edge? Because Celtic have got better players. We all know that 100%. How could they get an edge? I'm looking at the height advantage that Motherwell have got today in their team. And see, set plays could be really important. You just wonder if the managers looked at that throughout the week. The height that Motherwell have got in there compared to Celtic, if you can get quality balls in, it would probably give you your best chance of scoring a goal.
How big an afternoon is this for Scott Bain? Mark Wilson, he started a game towards the tail end of last season away at Easter Road. Granted, the league was already won, so there wasn't that same pressure, but it was a far from ideal night for him. And he's back in from the start due to Joe Hart's suspension today.
Well, I've got to be honest, I thought his days were numbered at Celtic, and I thought that might have been his last performance, just because how poor it was and how far he was out the picture. And I believe if Ange Postecoglou, he signed a long-term deal, but if it was Ange Postecoglou, I don't think you'd see much of Scott Bain. However, Brendan Rodgers has history with Scott Bain. When he brought him in and he gave him his debut, was it at Ibrox he gave him his debut, and he played him in big games after that. He likes Scott Bain because he's useful with the ball at his feet. However, he's had a Celtic career.
Not last weekend he wasn't.
No, okay, I'll give you that. But he's had a Celtic career that spanned quite a length of time now, and he's been successful within that. But I'm with Hugh that a backup goalkeeper or or someone to rival Joe Hart was needed in the summer, and they didn't go for it, and now they find themselves going back to Scott Bain. So it's a big afternoon for him. I don't see him, if he has an absolute outstanding game today, I don't see him replacing Joe Hart going forward. I think it'll be back to square one for him.
Some would say, Hugh, we don't get much right on this show, but last night we were discussing the new contract for Rio Hatate, and we said, well, Matt O'Reilly will probably be next. I didn't expect it to be done by the time we came on air today, but that is the reality. A new contract for him this morning, meaning that pretty much all of Celtic's big hitters, important players, young sellable assets, if you like, have now really been tied up on long-term deals.
And that's the key point. They are tied up on long-term deals to be sold at a later date for big money. Matt O'Reilly came, as per the Celtic model, for not very much from the NK Dons, and Celtic will be looking to get in the realms of 20 million for him at some later stage. So that's the model in operation. It's been a clever PR exercise. Give them one story one day, then another. It builds up the excitement for the fans, but they have to deliver on the parks now. You can't have a fanfare of trumpets the whole week long and then fall down on the Saturday. So the obligation is there for O'Reilly and Hatate to justify the deals they have been given.
You have to say, Matt O'Reilly, if it was based on this season alone, which it's not, but if it was, he would be well worth the new deal. Mark Wilson, he's already surpassed last season's goal tally, and we're not even out of September. He showed even late on last week, charging back to produce a potential goal saving block at the other end. He's arguably been Celtic's main man this season,
without doubt. I mean, 4 goals this season already, a couple of assists as well in there. Really makes Celtic tick, and he's rediscovered, I think, some of the form when he first came in. I think he went a wee bit off the boil, and like you do when you come to a big club, and he's had to serve his time on the bench sometimes or miss a few games, but he's back to his best at the minute, and he's been rightly rewarded with a longer term deal. I mean, Celtic knockback was at £10 million for him in the summer, and it goes to show the faith that Brendan Rodgers has in this kid, that he's got bigger plans for him. But I think when Rodgers came in, gives everybody plans and goals to aim for, and for him, I was adding more goals to his game. He started terrifically well this season.
The manager will be delighted with a bit of business this week, no doubt. They'll be looking forward to putting ice in the cake with 3 points this afternoon at Fir Park. But as the guys quite rightly said, all the big hitters are tied up. They can relax now. They can look to go forward. They're looking to the future. And Hugh's right about, they're now in command of the transfer situation. If big money comes in, obviously they will be sold. There's no doubt about that. But they're in control of it, which helps. And what helps for the players as well is they're settled. They know that their future just now is with Celtic, and it's all about playing football.
Interesting to see Yang today, because he's one of the projects. Lagabielka cost a lot of money, so you can't really term him a project. They were buying someone that they believe to be an international player, the real deal. But Yang is one of the projects, and the projects have to come good. Paulo Bernardo, Louis Palma,
not on the bench today.
No.
Paulo Bernardo.
We can only take them one project at a time, and there'll be a certain degree of scrutiny where Yang is concerned, because these guys have to be first team players, otherwise the model stutters.
Okay, let's leave it there, because the scene is set. All the pre-match talking is pretty much done. Fir Park pitch looking fantastic for a good game of football, hopefully, and kickoff in North Lanarkshire is coming next.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
Kick-off at Fir Park is a matter of minutes away. You've got 6 top games in the Premiership this afternoon, and many more big occasions down the divisions as well. Let's go back to North Lanarkshire, get a final recap of the teams and build up to kick-off with Gabriel.
Thanks, Gordon. Atmosphere really cranking up here at Fir Park. The team's just about to emerge from the tunnel. Motherwell, as I said, impressive against Rangers last week despite the defeat. Expect the game plan to be similar here. They limited Rangers to very little and forced Jack Butland into 3 big saves late on. They'll give Celtic the ball, but the question is, what can the Hoops do with it? Can their creative players do enough? Matt O'Reilly, Rio Hatate signing new deals. Young Yang given a big chance as well on the right hand side of attack. and Kyogo Furuhashi. Can he continue his impressive form as Celtic look to extend their lead at the top of the table to 5 points? I'll give you a quick run through of the teams again. We'll start with Motherwell. They're unchanged from last week. Liam Kelly's in goal. It's a defence of Stephen O'Donnell, Paul McGinn, Bevis Mugabe, Dan Casey and Brodie Spencer. Lennon Miller and Harry Payton will be in front of them, with Callum Slattery and Blair Spittle just behind Theo Bair, who leads the line. Celtic make 2 changes from last week. Scott Baines in goal. To defence of Alcy Johnson, Gustav Lagerbielke, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly and Ray Hatate are in midfield, with Maeda, Yang and Kyogo leading the line. The teams have just walked out here at Fir Park. There's some glitter on the pitch in the top corner. Celtic fans packing out the big stand to my right hand side. Motherwell supporters in the other 3 as captain Callum McGregor shakes hands with his opposite number Liam Kelly. A huge game here in the Premiership, and kickoff is next.
Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes. With M&D Green Pharmacy. Planning your holiday? Get essential health advice and medication before you travel.
I feel like I've missed a couple of Saturdays recently. I've not had your rank rotten predictions, so what's it going to be?
I will go Motherwell 1, Celtic 2.
I'll go one more. Motherwell 1, Celtic 3.
I think Motherwell will score, so I'll go 1-2.
Not a lot of love for the Steelmen out there. We will see. Kickoff is not too far away in Motherwell. Pitch looking good. Celtic arriving good form. Motherwell arriving confident form in terms of performances, but haven't got any results in the last couple of games. So we will see how this one pans out at Fir Park. Should be a cracker. And what an afternoon we've got to look forward to as well, Hugh Keevins.
Yeah, I mean, 6 games running in the same day, that's the novelty. But not just 6 games, the games full of meaning. Motherwell Celtic, obviously. Rangers Aberdeen, they have had a horrendous run of injuries at Ibrox, and can a depleted side perform to the level that the Rangers fans have been crying out for since the season started? I am fascinated by Nick Montgomery at Hibs. The new manager has brought the new manager bounce, and he's put an end to the ridiculous phase of Lee Johnson being there. Hibs against Dundee, they could have another win at Easter Road as they gather momentum for that semi-final in the Viaplay Cup to come, and also the Edinburgh Derby, which will come next weekend. And then St Mirren, they will look to get over the disappointment of the Viaplay Cup midweek when they lost in a terrific match against Hibs. They're at Kilmarnock suffering after that win for Hearts at Rugby Park midweek. Hearts at Ross County, and they will be looking to gather some kind of momentum. St Johnstone Livy, I don't think will be all ticket at McDiarmid Park. The 2 sides who could really be doing with a lift. St Johnstone stuck at the bottom of that league, they had better get a move on.
Yeah, we can get to these games later on this afternoon. Strap yourselves in, because we are here until 6 o'clock. You can keep in touch with us all afternoon on Twitter at Clyde SSB, or X as it's now known. And of course the open line here later this afternoon as well. I will give you the nod when it's time to pick up that phone. But Motherwell against Celtic is first up, and it'll be interesting to see how Celtic start this game. Gordon, you can't take anything away from some of those wins. They all count and all that, and 3 points on the board. There have been a couple of games it's been a penalty that's got them going, and then funnily enough they looked as if the red card gave them a shot in the arm last week. It should have been the other way around. So sometimes there's been some big moments in games that have helped spark Celtic into life this season.
Yeah, and I think Brendan Rodgers will be basically saying, look, we've got everything settled off the pitch now with the contracts and the good news for all the Celtic fans. Let's be positive on it. Let's get on the front foot. They know it's got to be difficult this afternoon. Motherwell they've been in good form, but the last 2 results have been disappointing. It will be a difficult game, so they need to be at their best. Celtic, they'll certainly get players of the quality in the middle of the park to front 3 that can certainly hurt you. So I think the message today would be, look, it's no excuses. Fantastic football park, great day for football. Let's go on the front foot.
And of course, who's the referee? the man who created the midweek controversy, Willie Collum, the man who has been synonymous with controversy his whole career long. Let's hope that by 2:30 we're talking about Motherwell and Celtic and not Willie Collum.
Yeah, Motherwell certainly tried to go on the front foot in the early stages, getting a throw in down in the corner. Stephen O'Donnell came across and took it long, so trying to just make some attacking intent early on, but nothing really to tell you about yet in that one. But tends to be a venue that promises to be tough but never really delivers, or doesn't deliver as often as people would suggest. I think Celtic and Rangers, for that matter, have got good records for the most part. But Brendan Rodgers, Mark, remember that day, one of the defining games of the invincible treble. 2-0 down, and Tom Rogic, I think, scoring the late winner to win 4-3.
It was a day of exciting football. So he knows what a test Motherwell can be and this pitch can be. But see, when you get a surface like this, Celtic should turn up and relish playing on this sort of surface. And I think Daz made a good point. Those players getting contracts signed, I think uncertainty hanging about your squad affects performance levels. And I think when you get that sorted, you'll see a better product from the players who have signed their contracts.
Alistair Johnson was involved down the right hand side, and this must be a special moment for you. A real world feeling small moment for you. I mean, you went all the way to Canada. You gave up your time and effort. You trained AJ, and here he is back on your home turf years later, turning out for Celtic. Must be a real special moment for you.
And it's if I wasn't here, he could have nipped in for a coffee on the way home. But
I wonder what he thought driving up Airbus Road compared to Canada. What on earth is this
Toronto
place?
and Airbus Road look alike. But listen, he's been a terrific signing, you've got to say, for Celtic. He's really adapted into Scottish football. It just suits him down to a T. He's got everything in his locker. He's a top player, and he'll be looking for a good afternoon.
Mr. RFK is on Twitter, says come on Celtic, he's on the way to Newcastle, flying to Greece tomorrow for a lovely week of sun. Hope his luggage turns up, unlike Marky Boy. You got yours back.
Still no back.
You're kidding.
Still not got it. Aye. So I once again, British Airways, you're a shambles.
That AR will be getting a doing this afternoon.
Never mind that, I've still got the same scants on.
She's a good lady, apparently.
Oh, because that's what you do on holiday. You pack all your underwear.
You turn them inside out and then back again.
You pack it all just in case.
You don't pack all your underwear.
But how many pairs of underwear have you got?
Oh, by the way, I've got far too many. I've noticed that recently.
I've got
about 30 pairs.
I've got about 8.
If you're a medium nip along, I'll give you a couple of pairs.
So you went away for 6 days and you only own 6 days worth of underwear.
Yeah.
Or you pack a couple extra because you never know what's going to happen.
Never know what.
A bad food.
Some of us do know.
You have a dodgy stomach.
Oh, I think others will be like-minded that you always have to pack extra just in case.
Some of us,
I don't know.
Some of us know fine well that they need too many extra.
Still
Darling, did you make sure that case is full of the underwear?
Conversation can take an unusual turn on this programme. However, gentlemen's undergarments is somewhere I did not think we would be going.
Wasn't he talking about gentlemen?
Well,
you still
here's hoping they're here.
Just because yours are silk, Hugh Keevins, don't take it out on us.
And monogrammed and ironed.
Did you hear the real scandal though? This man took 90 kilos of luggage for 6 days in Dubai.
Goodness. Well, this is vanity. All is vanity.
Hugh. Not me.
Okay, your travelling party of 2.
Travelling party of 2.
2.
Yeah, mine's was 28 kilos, which is reasonable.
A joke.
Luckily for you, I had no idea what a kilo is.
Yeah. Someone give him it in old money. Celtic are in control here, all the ball, as you would expect, Gordon.
Yeah, I said earlier, I think the message from Brendan Rodgers at the beginning of the game would be, look, let's go on the front foot, let's put a bit of pressure on them. You don't want to give Motherwell any encouragement, because they can produce the goods at times. You've seen last week they were well organised at Ibrox, attacking sense, they played particularly well. Rangers, by their own admission with the manager, was quite happy to get the 3 points. So you don't want to, if you're Celtic, you don't want to give the home side encouragement. You want to keep at them and try and get that most important first goal that settles everything down.
Yeah, well, there's another obligation on Celtic's part. They're looking to build up confidence for the visit of Lazio. Champions League football has not been great for Celtic, particularly at Celtic Park. So you're looking for a result that sends you into that game in a positive frame of mind.
Yeah, confidence is probably the one thing that you can take away from it, Mark, because tactically it should be an entirely different challenge. So you're not
it will be
necessarily looking for similarities there.
Oh,
but mentality wise, Hugh's right.
Yeah, listen, I've been here before where I've been on the pitch, away game against tricky opponents, with a Champions League game round the corner, and it is about winning and gaining a bit of confidence. If Celtic come here, knock the ball about well, win with ease, of course it helps you get into that midweek game. And you've got to say, in the opening exchanges here, they're knocking the ball about quite well, look confident. I think Yang looks lively. Hugh was mentioning about a big afternoon for him. He's one of the project players, but I think he's been a standout from coming in. I think he looks positive every time he gets the ball, and he looks the same this afternoon. So,
well, I mean, that position has to be up for grabs by a distance more than any other in the Celtic team, because Yang's had a crack at it. Palma came in, deadline day signing or thereabouts, and played in the European game, and then James Forrest started his first game since January away at Livingston, and of course he was the one sacrificed when Joe Hart got sent off. So it seems like it's anybody's.
But it shows a hole that Jota left, and Celtic had to go out there and replace him. And like Palma, you called Palma starting in the Champions League last week. I didn't think he would, and I know it's very early, but he just looks like he needs a lot more time to get to the pace of what's expected here. Yang, on the other hand, I think when he started, he's looked positive. And he's had an assist or two, and he looks like he could drop the shoulder and go by people. Exactly what Celtic need in that position.
I mean, Abada's injury is not helping, Gordon, but you would like to think that between two new signings in Yang and Palma, and then your sort of experienced, previously reliable backup in James Forrest, that between the three of them they should have it covered.
Yeah. It was surprising because he played Forrest last week, and obviously the sending off changes and Forrest is sacrificed, and it's a bit of a pity for a lad. He's waited such a long time for a starting go at it, and then he turns up at Fir Park this afternoon, and Yang's preferred. I know where Mark's come from, but I sort of disagree slightly. I've not seen enough of Yang yet to say, yeah, I think he looked really, really promising. It's a big game for him this afternoon. Terrific pitch. I'd like him to be very positive if he gets on the ball, but I've not been yet convinced with
Free kick Celtic in a dangerous area on the left hand side of the box as they look for an early breakthrough in this one. Real outrage on Twitter that Mark Wilson, Celtic's Mark Wilson, only owns 8 pairs of underwear. Derek FM, can't believe it. Hatate has taken a sore one in the sort of face, head, if you like, somewhere in that region. Physios are on, taking a look at him.
Well, managers in my day used to say, and Gordon will know this to be the case, Gordon Dalziel, no problem, it's only his head.
Exactly, which is crazy because now we're in an era where we're much more responsible about these things, and
no
thankfully
way. That wasn't the attitude, was it?
Yeah.
Well, I think we probably move on beyond such irresponsible discussion.
Wow.
And hope that everything is alright in that regard. Celtic are going to have that free kick as well. I mean, it would be rude of us not to update the listeners on the Ryder Cup every now and then, Gordon, wouldn't it? I wouldn't do it all the time, but there's bound to be a crossover and interest out there.
Oh yeah,
because I have got the luxury
from where I
stand in the studio, I can see 2 tellies.
He's got a terrible position,
so I can see the golf and you can't. So I'll keep you up to speed, right?
Mark and I are
Can we not get it on that telly in front of you there?
Mark and I are both looking at Hugh going, just do your usual, keep talking nonsense. Just keep talking nonsense.
The USA are leading in 2 of the afternoon 4 balls. The other 2 are tied. And of course Europe went into this afternoon session 9.5, 2.5 up. Remarkable first 3 sessions there, but USA showing some signs of life for sure, and starting a bit quicker, well, a lot quicker this afternoon than they have previously. Rio Hatate not in great nick. He's been down for a while, starfished on the Fir Park turf.
He just stooped to head the throw in from Greg Taylor. Slattery comes in, his boots high, but Hatate's head's down as well, and it looks like he catches him just above the eye, round a bit there. A sore one.
Well, he Collins booked them, Slattery, so long afternoon for him.
Yeah, it's one of those, Gordon. It's a not a complete accident, but as we've known many aspects of the game, that's not really the point. The rules are not, they don't necessarily allow for intent. It's not a question. It's just something people add.
Like, I can understand both players. You know, the ball comes, you put your head down to header it to make sure you're in control of it. Slattery's went in, he's looked at it thinking, yeah, I can flick that on and win it. Unfortunately, Hatate's come off the worst. I do agree with you, Gordon. I think we've got to make it clear that was accidental. There's nothing malice in that at all. But I'm just I'm hoping Hatate, because he has been on the ground.
It's a bit of work here. You would wonder if there was any blood coming. I was going to say,
without being an expert, Mark, I wonder if like Slattery's toe has caught some sort of like soft part of. You know what I mean? Didn't look like there was loads of force. I think Hatate is in a bit of bother here.
It looks like it. So, a real blow for Celtic, for Hatate, who's recently just back in the team, just off that new deal. Scored last week, of course, and then it looks like he could be in trouble here for the rest of this game, and obviously a big one coming up midweek.
He is finally up. Does look a bit dazed, as you would expect, so we'll wait and see if he's going to be removed or not. He's talking to his translator and the physios. There are various options: Turnbull, Holm, Iwata, all there on the bench.
Well, Iwata immediately sent out to warm up. He might be the favoured option, but it's taken some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Still been waiting to see that Celtic free kick. And it's headed away after all that. The big build up.
The big build up is headed away. Good defending from Motherwell. I think it needs, if you've got to put free kicks in from those angles, I highlighted it. Celtic are not the biggest. Motherwell have got some big lads in there. It has to be a bit of quality. If you just put random balls into that box, I'm expecting them all defenders to go and win their headers.
He is back on, Rio Hatate. That will be good news for you Celtic fans listening, I am sure. We will see if he manages to stay on for a prolonged period. Certainly nothing to suggest that he won't at the moment, so we'll keep an eye on that one. He just got patched up by Celtic's medical staff, and on he went after a bit of a lengthy discussion about it. So I think he's absolutely fine for now, and partly due to that, it's been a bit of a nothing start to the game. There's not a great deal to write home about either way.
No, neither goalkeeper has had anything at all to do. You can only hope the match gets better, because it's fairly laborious stuff.
Looking back on it, Slattery's foot wasn't even that high, to be honest.
Stuart Kettlewell, I think, has been making that point. He's not happy at all at the booking for Callum.
Of course,
I think Willie's got that wrong again. He's having a bad week in my eyes, Willie. I blamed him the other night.
The worms turned.
You know me, I stick up for these guys every single week in this show, rightly so.
Overhead kick from Payton up the from Spittle, up the other end, goes over the bar.
Let's be honest, Willie is not a great referee.
I disagree here. I think that someone with a career at Willie Collum.
You think he's a great referee?
No, I think he's a good referee.
Yeah.
I think somebody with a career,
and his career is absolutely strewn with mistakes.
Well, he's had such a long career. You're never going to get everything right. You think about it. How long's your career been in this show? And many things have you got right.
And you're still a great pundit.
Exactly.
That's
there you go.
The difference between you and me is that people remember what I say.
You are to punditry what Willie Collum is to refereeing.
Yeah. And
a showman who moves from one failure to the next.
Yeah, with no loss of enthusiasm. Yeah, and that's why I can spot another one when I see him. And he's hopeless.
He's not great. He's hopeless.
Looking for something to spark this game into life. That's for sure. It's not really been an opening.
It's not been what we expected.
Remember.
That's we were hoping that this would ignite the day. And
Yang shoots miles over. Sorry, Hugh.
Yeah, that's my problem with Yang. He's got all the tricks, all the step overs, but there's no end product.
I think some
guaranteed a goal now, isn't he?
Yeah. I think sometimes, look, we all want it to be 90 minutes of brilliance. The game's only 15-16 minutes in.
Absolutely.
Has it been a electric start? No, of course it's not. It's been quite dull, but it takes time for a football game. You can't just be exciting from the first whistle. I'm hoping it does, break into a football game, but there's still plenty of football left.
But it was a big part of what Celtic did last season and the season before with Postecoglou, that they would come out the traps. And I know there was exceptions where it was a bit sluggish and we stood in here sometimes and Celtic got over the line eventually, but the norm was they would come out and they would overwhelm teams, pin them in. The Celtic fans loved it. So you can understand when they go back to a more patient build up and maybe fits and starts here and there, they aren't as satisfied as what they were the last previous two. It's very difficult to get that from any team. I mean, you look at the work Postecoglou's doing just now down south. Spurs fans are loving it. They had some of the greatest managers ever managing them before, but the entertainment value that he brought is something unique. But Brendan Rodgers, I think, slowly getting his style back that he had first time around. But the players obviously need to hit the performance levels.
But getting back to what you're saying there about Brendan Rodgers is getting his style back to the first time around, there were fans that complained about that style, Mark. They didn't like
only
it.
In year 3 though.
They didn't like it.
They liked it the first couple of years.
I bet they liked it the first year.
But, well, they certainly did. But it was in year 3 when they were still winning. The fans get fed up the same old all the time. They're a bit spoiled at times that they want to win and win with a swagger, and once they've seen the same thing for 3 years, it's like, right, we need to change, or we need another player.
Would they get fed up with Postecoglou's style of football this year?
Well, by the way, the last 5 games of last season, fans weren't happy with how Postecoglou was playing.
I think it was because of the way that Celtic, they had the league really wrapped up, didn't they? I think it was the way Celtic played. But when it came to the big games,
well, even we sat in the cup final at Hampden, and it was drab for a lot of that game.
Yeah, but they still went.
The cup final, that's a big game.
You know what I mean?
But you're talking about style.
I think he's done you here.
No, he's not.
I think you're floundering.
We'll wrap this conversation up there. I'll let you have
the Seagulls are down. There's a nice Scotland connection in that game.
Wait,
of course.
Villa today.
John McGinn sets up the goal for Villa, and Villa go 1 up. So there we go. Ollie Watkins.
Villa look good this season, eh?
Yeah, good manager.
Yeah.
I didn't actually check if Billy Gilmore was starting the game. I don't.
They got a lot of confidence.
They didn't look so good with Newcastle beating 5-1.
No, he is
no.
Billy
But
Gilmore.
the home form's been good, I believe.
Right, so there we go. That's the early game down the road. The early game up here, not a great deal to tell you about yet. It's quite an interesting one, Gordon, because Motherwell are trying to play out from the back like they did at Ibrox, and like in relative terms, they look okay with it. Obviously, Celtic are very good at pressing, but then once it does become sort of pressurised, I suppose they then get the option to try to kick it long because Theo Bair is up there.
Yeah, do you know something? I know it's a tricky situation for Motherwell in the fact that they'll probably have players there. Mugabe, I don't think, will be the greatest guy of saying, give me the ball, mowing 6-yard line, and I'll go and play a couple of passes and be very comfortable. But I think it's good tactics, because if you just continually kick the ball up, we witnessed Livingston at Ibrox the other night there. It was schoolboy to me, right? Absolute schoolboy. Every time Livingston got it, they kicked up the park, Rangers came in top. At least he's trying to do something.
However,
I applaud that.
When you're against the best pressing team, it's not always easy. Motherwell now give away a sloppy corner, so we will see if anything comes of that. Gordon's right, Celtic do have a height disadvantage, but it doesn't always matter. Liam Scales gets on the end of it and headers wide.
Well, it's something that, from corner kicks, Celtic have never been the best in recent years. People were spoiled when the old timers like Billy McNeil with their corner come across, Billy McNeil scored and then the game restarted. But it's not one of Celtic's strengths. But
you know what, you're right, Hugh. And as strange, see when you look back at the good managers they've had and how uninventive they've been at set pieces. In an era where teams have got set piece coaches to come in Scotland herself, where Austin McPhee works tirelessly on that. Celtic have never had it in recent times.
So we have we're creeping towards the midway point of the first half. Still goalless at Fir Park. No real chances to tell you about. A kick in the chops for Rio Hatate is about the only main talking point so far, but he is fine. He's continued there. So, and I think Aston Villa have gone 2-0 up as well. Seagulls, you grandkids not going to be happy. Not going to be happy at all.
To be fair, they're third in the table. They won't be after today probably, but
Bubbles burst here.
yeah, that's it.
They get everything they deserve. They finish my career in England.
De Zerbi must go.
Brighton did.
That was the last game.
That was my last game.
What for the
I remember.
reserves?
I
Make your own way
remember.
home.
I remember walking down the pier, a lonely man, staring into the sea
On the big wheel.
We were my Man City blazer on, and I think a seagull come over the top of me and gave me one.
No, that's meant to be good luck, isn't it?
Did you have to wear a blazer? Did you?
Man City, yeah.
Did you?
We represented the club.
Still got it? Silly question.
No. I cut the badge off it because it was a good suit, and I used it as a suit. I done many a wedding with it.
Yeah.
Oh, you do that, don't you? The minute you get sacked for the club, you get the badge off. It's always a nice suit. Or nice.
Do you?
Yeah, of course you do.
Oh well,
You
we
do.
had a belter with Celtic my last year, Ralph Lauren.
There
But
you go.
no
You
badge
don't
on
throw
it.
that out.
No badge. I got used a couple of times. Right, I can't fit into it now. Right enough.
You just get the wee stitching, cut the badge, round the badge, give it a wee wash. There you go.
In fact, look, I've still got that belt on.
Is that Brendan's belt?
Ralph Lauren.
So the belt you're wearing right now,
Is it
100% is your Celtic edition belt.
So is.
Oh my goodness.
Look, it shows the quality in that. When did I leave? 2012. Aye, so there you go. 11 years at this belt.
So you're honestly wearing your Celtic belt
Yes.
right now. Wow.
Huh?
This guy.
Andy
honestly.
trackies.
And
Andy
he's got and
he's got the tracky bottoms on his new clothes.
and to think that they are holding up 4-day-old underwear.
I know.
I'll be putting
See,
people after lunch.
If that belt snaps, we're struggling here this afternoon.
It does look under a bit of strain now that you mention it. He's overindulged on that whole.
He's brought the big litre and a half of water
Oh,
back.
you're back on the health kick,
back on
the
it.
Masters must be due up for
Tell
round
you
two.
what, this time last Saturday, I was in
A very different-
the Atlantis Hotel at the Saturday brunch.
Were you listening to the show?
His name dropping.
No, I didn't hear much of anything at this time last Saturday.
Well, I can tell you this time last week Celtic were 1 up at Livy. That would be about it. Joe Hart hadn't quite had his rush of blood to the head yet, but
But I'll say one thing. If you are in the Motherwell camp, you are quite pleased.
do you think so?
Yeah.
You've done enough.
The goalkeeper's not had a save to make, and if you go against Celtic in 25 minutes or whatever.
Sure.
Surely you want more than that, though, as a Motherwell fan, from what you've witnessed.
You've barely seen Joe.
This
You
season.
won't see Joe Hart, but we've barely
But
seen
do
Scott
you
Bain.
want them to
But,
fire
look-
shots into Liam
No,
Kelly?
I just watched there them breaking out and they had the ball, loads of space in the middle of the pitch, and they needlessly give it away. That's about 3 or 4 times they've done that.
The only thing I will say, and I'll come to their defence, I think that at least they're trying to play. I go back to Livingston. I'm not picking on Livingston, but they just lumped the ball up the park and gave the ball away needlessly. At least Motherwell are trying to play some football.
Yep, nothing really doing at Fir Park. That's why we're talking about Mark Wilson's belt and his underwear choice.
The things I sacrificed for this show.
Sandra can't believe it. Still got his old belt and doesn't have clean undies. I don't know, she says on Twitter at Clyde.
What does she don't know about?
That's a good Saturday night out for me.
3-0 Aston Villa.
Oh, come on.
What is going on there? The
How long have they
Seagulls. But, same. I think it was the same.
Yeah, half past 12.
Has
quicker.
Brighton got a couple of injuries, Hugh? I think they're playing some of their younger squad today.
But that's a shocker.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely indeed. That is a fast start, that one. John McGinn's Aston Villa, as we call him. We always like to put a kilt on things, and because let's not forget, the next international break's actually not that far away. They come thick and fast at this time of the
Couple of
season,
weeks,
don't
isn't
they?
it? 2 weeks, 12th, am I correct? No?
Is that France?
I think the Saturday's the 14th, is it not? But you're right, the match day.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks today, we will not be here, will we?
Where will we be?
Well, it's international break.
Alright, so we're not getting a games, championship games now. We just forget
There-
about
there
that. Are
isn't.
we too big a station now?
There are no championship games that day.
Yeah, it's a Challenge Cup.
Exactly.
We should be
Is it the Challenge Cup?
Yeah. Yes.
Everybody needs a Saturday off every now and then. Come on.
So when we're off, what day is that?
Get it in the diary.
The 14th?
I think so.
Is it?
Just sort of wondering furiously what I'm on about.
Actually, I was taking that day off anyway.
Yeah, you're
I'm
fine.
in London. I'm going to see Madonna that day.
Honestly, this guy gets about
know.
He seriously gets about.
Unbelievable.
His dedication to this programme is non-existent.
And listen, not my choice. The things you do in a relationship.
Where is she playing?
Question. In London. You want to go?
Aye, because I'll be in London that weekend.
Are you?
Yeah.
Right, we'll get you to Madonna.
Hold on, where is she first?
What's that going to matter to you? What's he going to say here? The O2.
The O2.
What difference is that going to
The
make?
Millennium Dome and old
I'm
money.
not travelling away to Wembley and all that nonsense. I'm not doing that because I'm claustrophobic, so I don't like going on the subway. Underground. The underground and Dazzler just do not go hand in hand. I'm a bus man. The big red bus.
Are you a Madonna fan?
I'll go and see Madonna all day long, yeah.
Would you?
Yeah.
She's a bit old now.
Hey, Hugh, you're 74 years age, son. What are you talking about?
Before this conversation goes anywhere that we're going to regret, I think we'll nip it in the bud. I think because
Madge's PR team on.
Because we are
having a go.
We are shameless hypocrites. We are shameless hypocrites on here, where we're allowed to be just to you, but nobody else. I think is probably the way we should do it, just for safety.
Anyway, get this programme over and done with. Get back, see Angela Rippon on Strickland.
Oh, this game must be really riveting.
Well, yeah, it is, yeah.
I've actually switched off for this.
You've summed it up in a nutshell there. Absolutely right.
Anyway, USA still 2 up in 2 of the 4 balls, tied in the other 2. They are 2 up in 2 of them, though. Yeah, if that makes sense. So
it's a real anticlimax for the Celtic fans so far, because as I say, they're drip fed. Rio Hatate's contract, Matt O'Reilly's contract. The manager was talking about the giant leap forward they'd taken in terms of their mentality, and this has been over elaborate, going nowhere football.
Well, I think possession, they're fine, but Hugh's kind of right. There's not been any end product really. I think what we've seen, a shot from Kyogo, a shot from Yang, one blocked, 1 miles over, nothing really cutting through Motherwell at all. And at the other end, well, you're probably looking to judge Scales and Lagerbielke today and see how they come up against Bear, but Motherwell can't get a hold of the ball to even threaten at all. So easy at the back for Celtic, just recycling the ball, but once it gets to the final third, it's been a bit lacklustre.
Yeah, there's not a lot to really get excited about, Gordon. I said Motherwell, if you're Motherwell camp, you're playing against the top of the table, you're playing against a team that's expected to beat you, you're still 0-0, your goalkeeper's not been tested, so you'd be quite happy with that. Although you would like a little bit of improvement from your own side, of course you would, but at least you're not having to chase the game just now.
I mean, apparently Madonna's putting on a 2.5 hour show these days. Mark Wilson.
Is she really?
News is reaching me.
She wasn't well apparently, so it was going to get cancelled, but this is her comeback one, so got big high hopes. I don't know any of her songs really, but
don't know any Madonna songs.
Listen, I know a few, but not a big fan.
She's a material girl.
Oh, brilliant.
Do you like that one?
Happy with that, are you? You're very easily pleased, may I suggest. Still looking for anything to spark this one into life at Fir Park. It would be lovely.
We were kind of gently sending it up and trying to analyse it, but it really isn't good enough. The players that Celtic have got to be this laboured and so lacking in any end product.
I feel slightly different in the sense that, well, it probably won't make any sense. I'm not sure it's bad enough from either side to require big analysis. It's just a game that's not really got going, and sometimes that can happen.
By the way, I think Celtic have, I was just saying there, controlled the ball okay. It's just when they get in this final third and they're looking for that, pass. But you've got to give credit to Motherwell for filling the gaps in. Quite often we've seen teams spread across the pitch and it plays right into Celtic's hands. They'll play through the lines and they'll get Kyogo in. But when they're getting it to O'Reilly and Hatate and Taylor on numerous occasions on this left side, just inside left, there is no pass on and they find themselves forcing things. So okay, up into the final third, yeah, I'd agree with you, it's poor in that respect. And Motherwell, I would like to see a bit more from Motherwell in terms of them keeping the ball, because they have been so impressive this year. You saw at Ibrox last week that they've got players that can play. Young Lennon Miller in the middle of the pitch, terrific young talent, but we've not seen him today. Slattery, Daz was mentioning, he's been a real plus point, but not seen him.
You just get so little time though, don't you? I mean, there was a one there where it kind of dropped, I think, to Harry Payton a couple of minutes ago, middle of the park, but Hatate's just on him quicker than any other player in the league will be on him. So
of course,
you just forget, the difference.
It does. It gets ramped up, and you notice a a real difference when you come up against these sides. I had it Dundee United time and time again, but you tend to raise your game, and if anything, Motherwell players haven't done that this afternoon. Been fine defensively, but in possession
you're just hoping one team gets into the groove here, because it's not been good enough.
The best thing for the game, would be if Motherwell scored.
Into the groove, great, yes.
Get in there, that's my one for a
See, when you need to explain your own joke and hit me, I wasn't even listening to you.
The delivery was too subtle, actually, which is not something that we can say about you very often. But
give us another one. Give us go on.
I'd have it too.
Don't, because there's that one song that I'm really worried how he's going to use.
I'm certainly not using that one.
Don't what won me.
Yeah, I'm certainly not using that one.
Don't even go there, Mark Wilson.
I really don't.
Married for the first time.
God. Oh, that's our best one as well.
Number one hit that was. Listen, I'm too good for a show.
From undergarments to Madonna's back catalogue.
It's been a slow 30 odd minutes.
Blame Motherwell and Celtic, that's the way I see it.
See, I think it's Celtic's job to get the game going. They've got the big time players, they've got momentum, but they're not getting anything going.
I agree with Mark to an extent, though. They are attacking pretty much all the time. It's just that sort of next bit. And for Motherwell, Gordon, is it starting to look like not a matter of time, because they're conceding big chances, but they're going to need to try and get up the pitch at some stage?
Yeah, starting to get that feeling just watching it. I said that Kettlewell will be happy, but if you keep giving the ball away cheaply with the players that Celtic have got, they'll eventually keep knocking. They'll eventually get away through the door and score a goal that all of a sudden puts you in the back foot. So as much
as shoots wide, left-footed from the edge of the box.
Yeah, as much as they're doing okay, they've just got to try and retain the ball a little bit better for me.
Rangers have taken a real going over from their own fans for their performances, not scaling the heights at all in the estimation of the supporters, even when they win. But the Celtic supporters can't look at this and think it's okay, because it's not.
Let's get back to it. There's only half an hour gone. We can't keep beating the game with a stick every 2 seconds. USA have gone up in 3 of the 4 balls. Gordon Dalziel.
Not good. Well, listen, it's still a long way for the USA to come back in that Ryder Cup, Gordon. I'm not really too keen on it now.
Switched off, have you?
Yeah, right, totally. Okay. Yesterday killed me.
Oh, did you have a bad experience? Did you? Please gamble responsibly.
Yeah, the very bad experience. Listen,
oh no,
a very bad experience, Gordon.
That'll teach you.
You know, I like my wee sort of a £5,
50 pence.
A £5 at the weekend, and I cashed out £20 and lost 500.
Please gamble responsibly. Remember, that's always the key message.
For my £2 bet.
Was it that Justin Rose putt in the end?
It was. Without
you idiot.
Right, for a guy so tight, it just makes it so much.
I do not gamble at all, but just because Ryder Cup, we flutter like the Grand National, I was in the kitchen praying that I wouldn't hear a roar from my TV.
And
it came, and so I had to go out a walk last night.
No roars at Fir Park yet, goalless there. We've got big games coming up in the 3 o'clock matches. Don't forget Hibs Dundee, Killie St Mirren, Ross County Hearts, St Johnstone Livy, and Rangers Aberdeen. Always one of the fixtures that you look out for at the start of the season. And it should be, well, hopefully it's another cracker this afternoon. And of course, down the divisions, no shortage of storylines. Duncan Ferguson against Dick Campbell.
Last time he was at Arbroath.
Amazing.
He was a 21-year-old Rangers player.
Biggest chance of the game goes to Motherwell. Harry Payton through on the right hand side, fires it at Scott Bain and saved with the feet. So Motherwell come closest, Hugh, early on.
Well, they're allowed to, and the way Celtic are going at the moment, I say the best thing for the game would be for Motherwell to score, because it might waken up Celtic. But they run the risk of dropping points at Fir Park today, because they're not doing enough to win the points.
This doesn't come into sitter territory or anything near it, Gordon, but if chance taking has been Motherwell's problem in recent weeks, a game against Celtic, if you get the odd opportunity, you're really going to have to take it. You can't imagine you get too many. You look at Ibrox last week, a couple of golden chances not taken. The St Mirren game the week before, loads of big chances, couldn't take them.
Yeah, there's no Van Veen there this season, Gordon. Motherwell have been playing well, but I don't care what you say. You miss a striker that can score you goals like that. I know it was the one season, but
he used to score half chances, really, didn't he?
Incredible. And you just look and you're thinking to yourself, you look through that squad, who's going to get, for instance, 12 goals this season? You know, I've not got a lot of confidence. Bear up front, come on. You thought, yeah, good opportunity. We see the chance here. It's a good save from Bain. It's a good move, good run. It's tight angle. He does what he has to do. He hits the target. He makes the goalkeeper make that save. That's a little warning to Celtic. That's what I'm saying to you. As much as Celtic are quite comfortable, they're controlling the possession stats of it, Motherwell all of a sudden, quick free kick. Celtic have switched off, and Bain uses his feet to save that.
What's quite remarkable about the chance mark is it's the exact same type of thing Celtic have been doing to other teams for years. It's a quick free kick, and Motherwell are the ones that take advantage of it.
I cannot believe how easily Celtic switch off there. Like, they don't expect an opposition team to notice that or notice the space, and they need to be a lot sharper than that. I think it was a tough one for him to take. It was for a wide area, and Bain does. It's a pretty simple save, but Celtic need to be brighter if they're defending situations like that going forward.
Maybe a wake up call for Brendan Rodgers' back line. They've not had anything to do really up until this point, so they were called into action. And Hugh, it was a routine save. It's not one that you would expect Scott Bain not to make, but still to get that first one, you know, under your belt when there is a bit of spotlight on him.
Yeah, I think he did very well. It's a save that Celtic needed to be made, but in terms of the wake up call, I think they've got Bernaby's alarm clock. Because they were very easily
Celtic free kick
apart.
Now, dangerous area just outside the box, so maybe a big moment in this first half that's been lacking in big moments. O'Reilly, the new contract, and Kyogo standing over it.
Wouldn't say either of them are set piece experts.
You've done this before, and
then ball ends up in the back of it.
Was that the Motherwell Kelly game?
Was it Spittle that put it in it? Was it? No, it
was
wasn't.
Slattery. Remember he put it in the top corner. I genuinely think it's something Celtic have been missing for a number of years, a set piece specialist.
I think I've seen one that was a poor effort as well, so you're right. But in the last, was it last week? I feel like recently I've seen Kyogo trying to maybe throw his hat into the ring for taking some of them, because why wouldn't you? You know, he rolled it to O'Reilly this time, and it was a.
I know he's not on the pitch, but I would probably say that Turnbull's up there with the best the free kick takers at Celtic.
Has he scored a free kick for Celtic?
Who?
Turnbull.
Yeah. Hibs wasn't. It's a while ago now, to be fair.
But that's what I mean. That's your probably closest you'll get. And maybe I was just spoiled in my time. We had Nakamura.
I was going to say that's quite a high bar, isn't it?
He would just take everything. He was like one of these schoolboys in the playground that, you know, better than everybody else. Take everything. See, when you looked at his running stats on a Monday morning, because they were always pinned up, he was always kilometres ahead of everybody. Kilometres ahead of everybody.
Oh, because he's going to take the corners.
Take a corner through the right,
running for the ball to get on the set play.
On you go, over to the left, free kicks.
I mean, I take it like a real obvious one. I take it. He honed his craft for hours on the training ground afterwards, and
just incredible. We were all eating lunch. I'm not even joking about this. We'd be eating lunch, and you can look out on the training pitch there. You'd still be standing, just firing in free kicks from the area. We've just seen Matt O'Reilly, and just more often not, just putting them in the top bin. It was
seen the stats with his least touches.
Most decoy runs.
Because I would like a wee guess in that one.
I started all the moves. That all went through me.
I'll take the man away.
That was space. The old decoy run. Let the wingers do the job.
Did you just stand in the wall at training and let him fire it over your head?
By the way, you could be that confident that he would. It was just, it was weird to see that, because you're at a certain standard when you're at Celtic, you know, and you all think after training we'll do a bit of shooting, and you'll see, you know, all the midfielders who score plenty of goals, fire them in and trundle them along the ground. You just see Nakamura just easily with his left foot, just effortless, and you think, how can you be so much better than, say, Stan Petrov or whoever else, you know, or whoever was there at the time? It was just incredible to watch.
Did you see Rio Hatate? I think he does this now after the game last week, running around the pitch barefoot for ages. You were at brunch in Dubai.
I was running a bit barefoot as well
for a very different reason.
In the hotel,
shirt around my head.
with his belt on.
Yeah, so for ages after the game at Livingston, barefoot, just jogging around the outside of the pitch. I think just amazing commitment to whatever that is that he.
Why would you go with your bare feet?
I don't know. Listen,
Is there something in that?
no
By
idea.
the way, I've listened to a few podcasts. That's what you're supposed to do, or get those shoes that are made without any cushion, like we're wearing. So
What
they
is
shape
it for
into the
that?
base of your feet, and it strengthens your feet muscle.
Oh, right.
Aye.
Please don't take medical
that's-
advice off Mark Wilson.
100% guaranteed if you're listening out there.
How
So
we shugs taking his shoes off?
if you're
as we
walking
speak?
down Buchanan Street, whip off your shoes.
Those
What's
views, the views expressed are not those shared by Clyde One.
Yeah, all
Those are
views
Mark
wrong.
Wilson's own
Yeah,
opinions.
You'll thank me later.
Unless you've got a hole in your sock, keep your shoes on.
I can
How's
just
your 3-1 looking?
It's well,
a work in
it's plenty of
progress.
time. It's,
There's still another 40.
still in it,
plus.
still
And
in
plus the fact there'll be time added on here, surely. What's the time? Have we got that yet?
No.
Because obviously Hatate was down for a
4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, so there'll be still time yet.
Oh, good. That's what we need. More of this first half.
Yeah.
I'm only kidding. I'm the optimist. I'll leave that to you guys and see how we get on. It was a decent save from Scott Bain. That's about the closest we have been to a goal in the opening half here at Fir Park. As the guys say, there will be some extra time added on, some additional time I should say, after a head knock for Rio Hatate early in the half, which he has recovered from, I should say.
You know what would highlight this? I mean, Daz was joking there. How many touches did I get? The stats now that come up, touches in the opposition box for either team. I mean, it must be so low. I mean,
Has Kelly had a save?
No.
I
Right,
think he's
so-
had a couple of goal kicks, has he?
Yeah.
And that's about it.
So you're looking at what, 45 minutes against Celtic on a pitch that's tailor made for them, and you've not tested the goalkeeper. Brendan Rodgers will be a bit disappointed with that. So's the Celtic fans. But
Yeah, I
all
mean,
credit to
you're
Motherwell.
right.
They're defending well, they're organised, they're making it very difficult for them.
That Harry Pater effort would be the only
Shot and target.
shot on target in this first half so far, but the board hasn't gone up yet. There could be, I don't know, it could be as much as 5 additional minutes, and we're not at the 45 yet, so we'll keep an eye on that and bring you up to speed when we know.
I think managers take a lot of stick, and a lot of scrutiny about style and how's this compared to the last manager and that. But players have to take responsibility on the pitch as well. It's players that bring the game to life, and there's match winners in that Celtic side, but there's just none that stood up and took this game by the scruff of the neck. Even Callum McGregor's been quiet, who usually dictates things.
There's a shot from Celtic, but it was a bit of a trickler from Matt O'Reilly with the right foot, didn't catch it the way he would have wanted to, and still we go on. Teams will be starting to arrive at the 3 o'clock games, so the build up there will not be too far away. We can bring you some team news from around the grounds when we get it. Still a touch early for that. 4 added on after that head knock for Rio Hatate, so still time. And we always talk in cliched terms about good times to score. Celtic came out and scored right at the beginning of the second half last week. That completely changed things. Gordon, they scored I think near the start of the half against Dundee in the previous league game as well. It goes without saying, because Celtic have been on the other end of it. Feyenoord, you think you're in at half time, you think you've got something to hang on to, and then you concede right before the break. It's the worst time, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously when you're playing Celtic, the first goal's so important. If you give it away, then you've got a decision to make. Do you sit in tight and they'll probably break you down again? Do you go and chase it and hope to get back in the game, which leaves Celtic more space to create more chances and probably go and kill the game off? So the first goal, especially when you're playing Celtic, is so important. Don't give it away cheaply, especially. And Motherwell, if they can get in at half time, as much as they've not been great, I think they'll be really pleased.
And when you look at that one shot on target Celtic have had through O'Reilly and how poor it was, how tame it was, it kind of sums up the first 45 from a Celtic point of view. They worked it well into O'Reilly, but then it's almost desperate, almost rushed, like I need to get this shot off because nothing else is happening. And that's when you find yourself caught running in the first half. That's the kind of things you do when you know it's not been good enough. So I think Brendan Rodgers will have a few words to say to the front six. I was highlighting how good that front six looked before the game. I mean, from a defensive point of view, okay, they won the switch off, fine, but you really look for more in the second half.
I think the two wide men have offered nothing. Yang and Maeda have offered absolutely nothing.
I thought Yang started look lively, but I would agree with you now.
Yeah,
he's just became
he'd one
anonymous.
Bit of positivity. He come inside on his left foot and he ballooned one well over the bar. But apart from that, nothing. On the left hand side, absolutely nothing from Maeda either. So if you're going to talk about Kyogo scoring goals, if a centre forward's got to score, you've got to give him service, and so far he's been starved of that.
Yeah, I've got to say, we're used to seeing Celtic, getting into those channels, to the touchline and plenty of cutbacks, and of course everyone doesn't result in a goal because Motherwell or teams would plug holes, but we've never even seen that. Never any chance for Kyogo to run off a shoulder. Or
is there any room for praise at Motherwell not allowing those gaps?
100%, and that's when you go with three at the back with two wing backs. It is difficult to get inside, so Stuart Kettlewell obviously recognises the threat, and they've stopped Celtic.
Stuart Kettlewell is perfectly entitled to go in at half time thinking this is going very well for us because they haven't conceded and they can break through that Celtic defence because they switch off very easily. Brendan Rodgers can't feel the same way. There are days when Celtic start poorly and never recover. St Johnstone 0, Celtic 0 at Celtic Park being one of them. Being knocked out of the Viaplay Cup at Kilmarnock, and in both games Celtic failed to score, and they haven't looked remotely like scoring today.
I think Brendan Rodgers' message will be saying, look, we need to move the ball. When we get the ball, we need to move it a bit quicker, because if you're making those cutly passes, you're giving Motherwell all the time in the world. Get into their formation. They'll have worked on that in training all week. The minute we lose the ball, get into that shape, make it difficult, and they're certainly paying off for them. So I think Brendan Rodgers will be saying, look guys, we need to move this ball quicker.
And also, but you can't get forced, Mark. It wasn't a particular standout moment there, but just something that caught my eye, where it did sort of go along to the head of Kyogo, who had Bevis Mugabe absolutely towered over him and bulleted the header away. Yeah. Like I say, it was just in the middle of the pitch. It wasn't necessarily a big moment, but that's not something Celtic can resort to.
It's never going to work, that. Greg Taylor just tried to shift it out his feet and drop it into his chest, but he's miles it. If it's going into Kyogo and it's lofted up, it's got to be into his midriff.
Half time at Fir Park. Here's Gabriel.
It's Motherwell 0, Celtic 0 at the interval. The Hoops having the majority of the ball but struggling to create any clear-cut chances. Kyogo had one block shot and fired one wide from the edge of the box. O'Reilly had a tame weak-footed effort into Liam Kelly's arms, and Liam Scales' header from a corner, probably the Hoops' best opportunity, although it went wide. It was a half chance at best. But a few poor free kicks as well. That's the referees being booed by the home fans. A few contentious decisions they feel going to the away side. But the best chance of the game undoubtedly fell to Harry Payton in Claret. He was through on the right hand side after a quick free kick. Celtic not paying attention. Bit of a tight angle for Payton. He fired it at the keeper. A good save from Scott Bain with his feet. Slattery was booked for a high boot, although accidental on Reo Hatate. He was down for a long time. Hatate's played on, he's got into good positions, but not done much with the ball. Motherwell certainly the happier of the two here. They've got really good defensive shape, although they need to offer a bit more going forward and take their chances when they come. Celtic moving the ball around well enough amongst the defence, but they're very laboured in the final third. It has not been a classic here. The game needs a spark, and both managers will be hoping to inspire their teams over the next 15 minutes. Half time, Motherwell 0, Celtic 0.
Well, it's not good enough from a Celtic perspective. It's fine for Stuart Kettlewell. He's in the market for a one goal win here if he can get one. But you can talk about Celtic moving the ball around. They're getting nowhere. They can move it around in never decreasing circles, but they are getting nowhere, and it's a very poor first half from them.
I would agree with that. I mean, up to the final third, lacklustre, lacking invention really in that final third. And when you look at the players on the pitch, then it's players who have sparked Celtic into life time and time again, but just not in this 45 minutes. And I just wonder, I know it's early, I just wonder if Brendan Rodgers might look at his bench and look at a change. Wednesday night's coming up. If he needs something more in that final third, he's got Palmer on the bench, Turnbull who's had success here in the past, might bring something different from what we're seeing so far. Maybe as well as a physical presence. I don't know, just because there's been that little happening, you wonder if he'll be of the mind to think, well, I'm not going to watch that again, because it has been so poor in the final third.
They're a minus a spark this afternoon at Fir Park, Celtic, for me. They look flat. They've not been at their best, but I'll give all the credit in the world to Motherwell. I think they've been well organised. With Celtic moving the ball so slowly, it's given them so much time to get into their shape. They've worked very hard in that, you can see. And Stuart Kettlewell will be very happy and just say to the lads, look, keep going, keep concentrating, because you know that just that lapse of concentration, Celtic have got the quality to open you up. But so far it's been positive for Motherwell.
6 big games in the Scottish Premiership this afternoon. We've reached the halfway point in the first of those games, and it is Motherwell 0, Celtic 0.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard.
Half time at Fir Park. It is Motherwell 0, Celtic 0 in game 1 of what hopefully is going to be a big Saturday in the Scottish Premiership. It's big in terms of the size of the fixture card, that's for sure, because every team in the top flight will be involved this afternoon, which is an absolute rarity on a Saturday. But it will be interesting. Mark Wilson, I'm pretty sure Brendan Rodgers' team talks are generally quite measured and calm and analytical, but I'm sure he's trying to come up with something in there, because it's not been what he would have expected in that first half.
Well, he needs to come up with something, and maybe something from his bench, like I was saying, because the players that he's put out in the first 45 minutes just haven't carried out the instructions I'm sure they were given. I'm trying to think, how could Celtic make that better when you're coming up against what looks like a 5 at the back for Motherwell? And I think Brendan Rodgers' tactics that we've spoke about so much in terms of going forward, but Kyogo coming deep and flicking things round the corner and runners going in behind, where O'Reilly scores some of his goals from. We've not even seen that at all from Celtic. It's all been pretty predictable. You know, any pass, it's probably going square. We've seen a lot of Greg Taylor getting into the inside left position and then just flipping the ball into the box. So I'm almost certain that that's things Celtic don't work on. And for years gone by, they haven't worked on that under Brendan Rodgers at the start of the season. It doesn't look like they've worked on it, but the players, for some reason, this 45 minutes have resorted to that, and it's been so poor.
Motherwell should feel disappointed because they've had the chances to score. Scott Bain did well when he blocked one with his foot. There have been other breakaways by Motherwell, and they've made the Celtic defence look cumbersome on occasion. So if I were Stuart Kettlewell, I'd feel slightly aggrieved that Motherwell were not a goal to the good.
Oh, I love putting a claret and amber positive spin on it, but it's one shot on target.
I don't
more than Celtic.
Yeah, I get that, but that's not enough to necessarily make you aggrieved that you're not ahead in a game.
Well, you know,
barely saw him. I'd love it to be the case, but we barely saw Motherwell in an attacking sense.
I know what you're saying. I think Motherwell's had the best chance, but you still expect the goalkeeper to save it. I don't think that you're looking at the Motherwell dressing room thinking, yeah, we're a bit disappointed, we should be leading it. I don't think that'll be the case. I think they'll be happy that they've sort of limited Celtic to the shots and goals against their goalkeeper. The possession, they've not really done much with it, Celtic. I think if you're in the Motherwell camp, you're quite happy just now.
Will the message also be to almost, not rest on any of that? Because I'm sure all these players, the management know for sure, doesn't really matter how quiet Kyogo is. Doesn't take him long to spark into life. Doesn't take Matt O'Reilly long usually.
Do the same things, Gordon. The only thing I would try and improve on is, I think in possession they give it away a little bit too cheaply. Try and be a little bit better in possession. If you can do that, then you've got an opportunity. But concentration is key against Celtic. You know that they're going to have a response with Brendan Rodgers. You'll have a few words with one or two of them asking for a bit more. So you know that they've got the quality to do that. So you've got to make sure you're concentrating at all times.
I think Motherwell's backline will be happy. If I'm a defender today and I see the lineup coming at me, I'm concerned because I know what they can bring in. I know how difficult an afternoon they can make it for you, and I know the amount of goals Kyogo scores and I'm off the shoulder. Maeda can run you up and down, and Yang's creative. I'd be delighted at that first 45 minutes, because if I was part of the back three or back five, which Stephen O'Donnell and Spencer's making that, then I've never really been tested. I've never been tested in behind. I don't have to look over my shoulder for Kyogo. because Celtic have never really worked the ball into a position where I've been stretched. And I think that's the most damning verdict on Celtic. Usually they're good at pulling people out of position. I think Motherwell as a back three and with their two wing backs have been comfortable just sitting in the formation and saying to Celtic, well, it's your job to break us down. And for 45 minutes you've not.
I think Scott Bain's back out, Gabriel, doing his warm-up for the second half. Any other signs of change or anything of note?
No, nothing yet, Gordon. Just been discussing in the press room there with other members of the media what we think might happen here. A lot of people surprised that Nat Phillips didn't start, as you in the studio were saying. Obviously Gustav Lagerbielke not available midweek for the Champions League. Perhaps we'll see Phillips in the second half. I thought it might be at half time, but he's just out here at the moment knocking balls. It doesn't look like he will come on. The other one that would be a possibility is Yang. That right wing position has been the one that's been up for grabs ever since Jota left the club. Perhaps we'll see Lewis Palmer or James Forrest in the second half. Forrest is the only player that's not out on the pitch doing a warm-up currently. Perhaps that means he's getting ready inside. Not too sure. If you come back to me just before kick-off, I'll make sure we'll double check.
Yeah, it's not always as simple as just changing personnel, Hugh. Sometimes it's with changing what you've got on there.
You would understand it though if James Forrest come on. Yang, as I say, there's no end product. Yes, he's lively and he can do all the tricks, but he can't play cards. So Forrest would be understandable, but you have to ask more of O'Reilly, Hatate and McGregor in the middle of the park. Maeda has put in the usual shift in terms of getting about the pitch, but providing nothing. Kyogo is a peripheral figure in the game. I would understand James Forrest. I do not think that Nat Phillips will come on for Lagerbielke. I don't think he'll disturb that area of the park.
I don't, because I'll tell you the reason why just quickly. Yang hasn't been any worse than anybody else.
Yes,
Maeda has offered nothing. Kyogo's offered nothing.
You're not going to take Kyogo off
exactly
just because he's had a quiet 45
so
minutes.
I think he'll stick with the same
Gabriel, any changes?
Yeah, as we expected, it is James Forrest. He's just come on the pitch. He comes on for Yang, so just one change at the interval. Motherwell just emerging from the tunnel now. They look like they remain unchanged. So as I said there, one change. James Forrest coming on for Yang. The second half about to get underway.
Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Get your essential medicines and vaccines before you head off on holiday.
I think you were stitched up by your colleagues there, quite frankly.
Yeah,
what are you saying there?
I was just saying Forrest must come on the second half. He was disappointed to get took off at Lindsay. Look, I'm a little bit surprised. I don't think Jan's been any worse.
I actually think your point was a fair one, because
he's not been any worse than anybody else.
It's inevitable that you're going to maybe have a bit more faith in players that have a back catalogue, but Yang is just here. We've not really had a long time to see what he's capable of. And you're right, Maeda hasn't done anything today, Kyogo hasn't done anything today. None of them really have. So it's almost like,
I think it's a classic example. Brendan Rodgers needing to change something to show that he's active and wants something more, and just change a winger. And because you're right, he could have taken Maeda off, he could have taken Kyogo, but if you take one of them off and things don't go your way, the fans go, well, why did you take them off? Yang, acceptable. And I agree with you, Daz. I don't think Yang was any worse than
I think it's about who has the manager's trust. The project on the park wasn't doing it, so the project comes off. The manager doesn't have full faith in the projects on the bench. Therefore he goes to someone with a background at Celtic,
someone who started one of the league games since January, and it lasted
but that's
40 minutes.
I said at the beginning of the game, I was a bit surprised with the lineup and the fact that Forrest's been left out. He gets his first start last week. He only gets substituted because they've been down to 10 men, let's be honest about it. And you're thinking, right, okay, he's waited that long, he'd have been disappointed with coming off, but it's all about the team. You pitch up at Fir Park today, and once again you're back in the bench. So obviously he's looked at it and thought, okay, I'm going to go before his second half. Very experienced player. I think he still brings a lot to the team. Be interesting to see how he does.
Well, we said that earlier, Mark, there have been a couple of games this season where Celtic have scored quickly after the break, and or when we spoke about it, we're talking about the possibility of doing it just before, but yeah, you score quickly after the break, it can change the full complexion. That will clearly be the intention here.
Well, of course, it was a couple of weeks ago at home, was against Dundee, that the Celtic come out and they start quickly, they get penalty, and it's easy street from there. And I think you can see right away, Celtic zipping the ball about, a good little move straight from kick-off. It looks the signs of a team that's had a wee blast, just to say, listen, tempo must be raised, performance level must be raised. But Motherwell need to be wary of that. Sure, Kettlewell, he knows the script. He would be in there in his dressing room saying, what's going to happen here for the first 10 minutes. They're going to come at you, so be resolute. For me, I just think Celtic I've just seen a glimpse of Matt Riley there just running in behind. They've made it too easy for that Motherwell backline, just to stand and see everything in front of them. It's uncomfortable as a defender when you've got people running in behind you, taking your backline 5 yards back.
So what can James Forrest do? He's the man that's been introduced. One thing you obviously know you're getting, Gordon, is a wealth of experience. He'll have been to every ground in Scotland many times. He'll have won at every ground in Scotland, in the top flight certainly many times. And hoping Brendan Rodgers will be that he can recapture some of that, because as you say, first start since January last week, and lasted it was 28 minutes actually. I didn't realise it was so early. I thought that was a bit closer to half time last week. 28 minutes. Yeah,
it was a difficult one for him, but he knew that he was sacrificed for the team, and James Forrest has been at Celtic long enough to accept that. He'd have been a bit disappointed not to be in the starting 11. I still think James Forrest can add something to Celtic. I really do. I think that there's still room in football for experienced guys who know how to win. And James Forrest is a winner. Let's be honest about it. He's won every trophy in Scotland. He's been terrific for Celtic.
If Maeda was fit, would James Forrest be on the bench at all?
No, I don't think he would be. But to be fair, if you look at who he's up against to challenge Maeda, Yang is struggling a little bit for me. Palma struggling a little bit for me. So it's not like you're thinking, would he definitely be out the picture?
Yeah, look, actually, maybe that's a more interesting one, Mark, if you've got the option to change and it's not Palma that comes on.
Yep. I think, look, James Forrest is a hero to a lot of Celtic fans, but he's been a great servant. We keep going back over that. But when you've got fresh players coming in and you've paid money for them, I think Celtic fans sitting behind that goal today would be disappointed not to see Palma, to see more. I think they'll be disappointed in what he's brought in the couple of glimpses we've seen. I think people, well, I thought when I heard him coming and the write-ups he was getting and a set piece specialist, I thought this guy's going to be the real deal straight from the off.
It adds to the debate about the summertime transfer activity. You've got every project under the sun, but they're incapable of delivering at the moment. And Celtic are in a position where,
when you say at the moment, do you mean like in the 48 minutes here? Because obviously the form's been
no. Well, I mean, in terms of the
individually
start to the season, Brendan Rodgers can't rely on them. The projects are for some time in the future, and when you are looking for a lift in a game as Celtic are now, he can't rely on them, and that's why James Forrest is there. It's a commentary on what happened in the summertime, and the fans have their own views on the projects. And right now, Celtic signed 9 players in the summer, and very few are of use to Brendan Rodgers right now.
Well, let's apply a bit of patience in case Luis Palma comes on and scores a hat-trick, and then these clips will be going viral and we will be ridiculed all afternoon and for the rest of the year. So let's hit pause and we can revisit for sure. The Seagulls have got one back. If it makes you feel any better. 3-1.
Not really
3-1 to Aston Villa.
See, that's the thing that would disappoint me if I was Stuart Kettlewell. I think you should be telling these players, there's a set play, they've got all the height in the world, and it's a free header for Celtic inside the 18-yard box. That's disappointing. You don't want to give, if you're going to lose a goal to Celtic, make them work for it. Look at it and think there's not a lot we could have done there. It's a bit of quality, it's undone us. Don't give them anything easy.
Motherwell had the ball in the net, but either a combination of an offside and or a foul on Scott Bain. It was something along those lines. But I guess Willie Collum will have a look, VAR check on that one. It was initially It was a corner, good interception by Scales. I kind of had to put it out for the corner. Motherwell think they might have scored. It was ruled out, but the check will be carried out, I assume.
Where did I tell you a goal would come from?
Set piece.
No, we
Good
don't
play
know if
just
it's
before
a
that set
legitimate
piece
one yet,
for
so.
Motherwell to create the opportunity.
No, the
There
best
seems to be-
opportunity.
and this is part of the problem with VAR, isn't it? There seems to be a bit of confusion, which is
If Willie Collum's there will be confusion.
yeah. So I mean, I think it's not given. It is not given, and I think it's for a foul
On the goalkeeper.
on Scott Bain. We know goalkeepers are a protected species anyway. If there's any hint of it, it usually goes in the goalkeeper's favour. That's not to say it wasn't the right decision. Gordon Mugabe, he's got an incredible leap. He's very tall as well. Also, I think he's a good bit taller than.
It looks a free kick to me.
Do you know what? Though? I actually not. But
I don't think Bain's convincing.
I'm also not sure. I can't categorically say right now it's not offside.
Yeah, Mugabe.
Yeah, because if you look right,
Yeah,
so Mugabe
I
challenges
agree
Bain,
with that,
it then drops,
It's
and
a free
Stephen
kick.
O'Donnell hits it against Mugabe on the line. It's actually O'Donnell that puts it over the line, so it's either a foul or it's an offside mark.
Yeah.
That looks offside actually.
Probably.
Would you go both?
You know what,
Can it be
Bain,
both?
I don't know why Bain's trying to catch it on the goal line when he's got Mugabe and he's backpedaling anyway. Bain should be trying to punch it, and I'm big against goalkeepers punching it, but you need to realise when you're under pressure. So he's put himself in a position. Mugabe, listen, he goes into him a bit, yeah, which causes Bain to fall. But I think you might be right. Yeah, he's
listen, Mugabe has to be offside
Yeah,
there
he's
because there are
offside.
no Celtic defenders. Stephen O'Donnell kicks it against Mugabe on the goal line. So once we get beyond the challenge on Bain, unless I'm missing something, I can't see a way that that's not offside.
of course, it's
Yeah.
offside, yeah.
So there we go. Well, it's 0-0 anyway. That's your headline.
Yeah,
But it's yet
correct
another
decision
warning.
from Willie Collum.
Yet another warning for Celtic, because I see no difference from the first half in terms of Celtic posing a goal threat. They pose no threat whatsoever, and Motherwell are creeping towards getting the first goal in this game, and possibly the only goal.
Be interesting. Get absolute clarity on it. Hopefully at some point. If that wasn't a foul on Bain, does Stephen O'Donnell can he do anything else? I mean, no, he would still. But Mugabe still have been in the goalkeeper's sight, wouldn't he? Or
Yeah, in terms of
of
being
him.
a foul,
You know,
I think it's a soft foul because I don't even think Mugabe's hand is over Bain's, or I think Mugabe's hand's down maybe into his midriff, and
kind of
Bain.
always given, aren't they?
They're
Which
always
doesn't
given.
make it right. But you know what it's like when goalkeepers jump and a player jumps with them.
And
To be fair, I wasn't convinced to Bain right, but I still think that he is fouled.
He's got to punch up Bain. He's got to realise that there's no way he's catching that on the goal line. Even if he does catch it on the goal line, momentum's probably taking him back as well. So might have got away with one there. But again, Daz is right. Set pieces, huge thing for Motherwell today. Need to make the most of it.
Yeah, that looked like something they had worked on actually, Gordon, because the initial ball, I think I'm right in saying, was crossed like out of the box, if you like,
Yeah.
and then fed back in for a second
second
attempt.
ball. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that if you're a manager and you're thinking, look, how do we get success against Celtic? Very difficult because you don't have a lot of the ball. So set plays become so important, and especially when you've got a height advantage, and you'll have worked in that all week. So, as I said at the beginning of the game, if Motherwell's best opportunity for a goal is from set plays,
Decent opening for Celtic. McGregor pulls one across. Motherwell managed to clear it, and it's the most frustrating one for an attacker. It hits off O'Reilly and then goes out for a Motherwell goal kick.
And on it goes. At this stage, it's difficult to see where a goal comes from for Celtic.
Yeah, still a long way to go in the second half for sure. Only 55 or so on the clock so far. And that one change for Celtic coming at the break. James Forrest replacing Yang. So we'll see if any other team decides to roll the dice at any stage. Motherwell's issue, Gordon, if you like, is they've got a number of strikers, and none of which
scored goals.
really first choice either. You know, replacing Van Veen was going to be hard enough. Mika Beereth came in and scored those 2 goals against Hibs. High hopes. He's then got an injury off the back of it. Connor Wilkinson was injured. He's coming back. John Abika injured. Ollie Shaw hasn't managed to find the net yet, coming off the bench. So difficult.
It was always going to be a hard act to follow, Gordon. Of that there's no doubt. Van Veen had a terrific season, banging goals in from fun. I think Mugabe was offside in the first phase of play.
Well, there we go then. Doesn't even get to this challenge on Scott Bain.
That's what I thought. And then obviously you boys were right with the fact that it hit off him. He's certainly offside then. But going back to scoring goals, Motherwell this season, I look at all those strikers and you think, what one of those strikers has got to get you that? Probably I would be setting a target 15 goals, 12 to 15.
I think 15's actually quite a lot.
Do you think so? I think, well, maybe 12 then.
Strikers in our league.
12 to 15.
How many did Van Veen get?
Oh, he got loads though. Yeah, he was almost 30, wasn't he?
Yeah, almost 30. But look, let's be honest, Van Veen was a good player, good goal scorer. Probably that was his best season ever as a footballer. He was brilliant. So you're not telling me if you're a Motherwell centre forward, I'd be disappointed if I wasn't scoring 12 goals a season at least. But I don't see anybody in that team's going to get double figures. That's my problem.
No, and there are ways, of course, other players chipping in. And
Slattery, for
Motherwell going
instance,
into today 4th. They don't have a chronic lack of goals, but it's certainly getting to a stage where Stuart Kettlewell would look for a bit more in the final third, perhaps.
Don't know if he's going to get it from Bear, has he?
He's been poor.
Again, from what I've seen today, I thought Bear would be a real outball for them today, particularly against Lager Bielka, who has looked shaky and probably weakest of the Celtic centre backs. But even any ball up to him, he's.
Do you know the thing, Mark?
Do you think it is his fault, or you'll be watching closer than me? I'm spinning a few plates, but I don't feel like I've just really seen Motherwell get him involved enough.
Yeah, quality of the ball up to him is difficult. But I've watched him as well. I've went to a few games, watched him against Hibs. He got off to a great start as well. Everybody spoke about why did the manager sign him? He doesn't score goals. He had a bad run at St Johnstone. He comes on first game, Dundee, scores just before half time. You're thinking, oh, off and running. What about that for confidence? He's not offered a lot for me.
Yeah, it's an obvious area Motherwell can change then and roll the dice. There is no standout in that area. So
who've they got on the bench available today, Gordon?
I think Connor Wilkinson would have come back onto the bench because he was there last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's
another. Will be there as well. So
he's another one that's sadly not impressed me what I've seen of him.
Yeah, Wilkinson and Shaw both on the bench.
Yeah, at one point they're going to make that substitution, of course, because it's a hard shift for Bear up there doing the work and try to close centre backs down. So
a big chance for Celtic, and it's missed by Daisen Maeda. Taylor wins it, rolls it into Daisen Maeda. It's certainly the biggest chance Celtic have had on the left, but he cannot find the target, even blazes it over the bar.
Play all day and not screw up.
Oh, you're not at that stage already.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Listen, in days like today where things have been a bit stuffy and it's been unimpressive, when you get big chances round about the hour mark, you've got to make them count, and it can just be the difference from relaxing everyone and going on and having quite an easy end to the game, or it just been a struggle. So Brendan Rodgers will be disappointed at that, because there's not been many glimpses of goal this afternoon.
No, since we are in a bit of a lull at Fir Park, we've reached the hour mark and it is still goalless. Let's go to Ibrox, where I think we can get teams ahead of what is a massive game for Rangers and Aberdeen. Always a great fixture to look forward to that one, and Andrew McLean is going to tell us who plays today.
Yeah, always enjoy these ones between these two teams, and I do have the team news for you. It's just the one change for Rangers going into this one, and it is an enforced one because, of course, Kemar Roof is out injured once again, and it's going to be Cyril Dessers that comes in for him in this one. So it's Jack Butland who continues in goal. The back four, James Tavernier, Connor Golton, Ben Davies and Ridvan Yilmaz, who keeps his place ahead of Borna Barisic. The midfield three, John Lundstrom, Ryan Jack and Jose Cifuentes. Sam Lammers, Abdallah Sima and Cyril Dessers are the front three. The substitutes: McCrory, Suter, Sterling right, Balogun, Barisic right, Lovelace and McKinnon. For Aberdeen, it's 3 changes for Barry Robson. Hayes, Barron and interestingly Duke are the 3 that drop out of the starting lineup. In come McKenzie, Clarkson and Polvara. So Kel Roos in goal for them today. The back 3, Stefan Gartenman, Slobodan Ribizic and Richard Jensen. The 2 wing backs, Nicky Devlin and Jack McKenzie. It'll be a midfield 3 of Graham Shinney, Leighton Clarkson and Dante Polvara. Jamie McGrath just in behind Bojan Majowski. The substitutes for them today: Doohan, Barron, Duke, Gay, Hayes, Sockler, Duncan, McDonald and Milne.
Thank you to Andrew McLean. Looking forward to that one a lot, it has to be said. We've got the chance to see the Dies and Maeda chance back. I'll get to that in a second, because Theo Bears had a chance but volleyed it into Scott Bain's arms. And there is the change in terms of getting the minutes. Lagerbielke off and Phillips on. Sort of thought that might be the case, Mark. Just like we said, get minutes, because he's going to have to play him.
Yeah, he is.
The European game,
and it's going to prepare him. You know, what's he going to get here? Probably just less than half an hour. But going back to the chance from Maeda, the first one, he has got to score. Greg Taylor does well just to feed him through. He's right in the corner of the 6-yard box. He tries to open his body up, right footed, and he blasts it over the bar. He just needs to guide that into the far corner. There's been no better chance. Bears chance, I think he does well to get it in target, because the ball comes across pretty quickly to him, but easy enough for Bain.
What do you make of those Rangers team, Gordon, or that Rangers team that we knew Kamal Roof was going to have to drop out? That's a big talking point, so no real surprise there.
No, I think good news for Rangers fans. Yilmaz, he went off injured the other night there. Scored a good
cramp,
goal.
I think.
Was it cramp that it was? Scored a good goal. Gordon looked lively, got forward. I was quite impressed with him. We get back to centre forwards, and I'm going to highlight him. I think it's a big afternoon for Dessers. He's offered me nothing in a Rangers jersey. We had a caller on the other night having a real go at him. Yes, it's still early in his career, but we can't keep saying that week in, week out. You've got to start somewhere. This is a big game. You're at home to Aberdeen. Aberdeen coming with a little bit of form under their belt, so you need to step up and be counted. I think he's got to start scoring goals or offer something, because maybe it's just me, but every time I've watched him, he's given me nothing.
12 appearances, 3 goals for Dessers. Now that's not the rate that Rangers are looking for.
See, to be fair, that in itself is not disgraceful. It's probably more the overall performances that's alarming the Rangers fans, isn't it?
Yeah,
2 goals have hit off him, Hugh. He hasn't even
and
had
the other one was a penalty.
Yeah, so it's not like you're looking and thinking this guy's turning in the box, scoring good goals. That'll come but his link-up plays to me is terrible. His movement's terrible. I would be wanting a lot more, and I'm sure that the Rangers fans going along to Ibrox this afternoon will be saying, right, come on, show us what you're settling in. Your honeymoon period's over. Let's see what you've got.
Well, maybe today is the day. But Hugh, we had a debate last night on who should play at left back.
Yeah.
So interesting one that Michael Beale's gone for. Yilmaz.
Yeah, I thought it should be Yilmaz, and the reason I gave last night is the reason I give again today, that he scores the goal. You capitalise on his confidence. You'll never know if he's a worthy successor or replacement for Borna Barisic unless you give him a proper chance. So he did well against Livy. He gets the chance to build upon that today. I understand the choice that's been made by Michael Beale.
Yeah, he's not in the European squad. Ridvan Yilmaz, remember.
Yeah, it's amazing that, you know, when you've got Barisic, who say it again, he brings so much going forward in terms of delivery, but just so weak defensively. Surely you've got to have an alternative to play there for the big European games. So that amazes me. But I think Yilmaz is the right choice. When he's fit, you've got to look to progress things at Rangers, not just stand still. And with Barisic at left back, they've just accepted what Barisic is. You know, people will get him. Aberdeen would have got him today if he played. Yilmaz might offer something different, but looking at the front line for Rangers, that's highlighted Dessers. I think Lammers and Sima as well have got a big job in their hand, particularly Lammers. I mean, watching him, I don't know what he brings to the team as much as Daz is saying about Dessers, and a lot of Rangers fans highlight Dessers because he is the front man to replace Morelos. If chances aren't getting created for him, then, you know, there's not a lot he can do. And Lammers is brought into the side to create chances, and he looks like he takes the easy option all the time for me. He looks like he shifts the ball and responsibility to someone else rather than going creating something himself.
The interesting thing about Yilmaz Barisic debate, Gordon, is that they're both very different. So you've got a couple of ways of looking at it. It's not all about who is the better player, but what about whose skill set suits the team more? Because we know that Barisic obviously gives you the delivery. Yilmaz looks a lot more comfortable carrying the ball and maybe coming in the pitch, which, as we know, fullbacks coming in there can be quite effective these days. So it's two different styles, really.
Yeah, but interesting. Yilmaz gets the nod today, and I think after midweek's performance against Livingston, scoring a goal as well gives you so much confidence. I thought your boy was excellent. I thought he's, getting up the park and he's timing his runs, and you quite rightly pointed out there, Gordon, carrying the ball is huge for him. But it was against a poor Livingston team that sat in. I like Barisic. I'm not going to be one of these guys that you say, well, it's time to change it. For Barisic has been a big part of being a fullback for Rangers. A lot of assists, scoring goals. Tavernier on the right's been the same. But today, I think it's the right call. Give Yilmaz his opportunity. He deserves it. He's waited his chance. He's had a few injuries. But I still think that for me just now, if it was a big important game, a final tomorrow, I would probably go with Barisic still.
Well, it sounds like it, because he's not even in the European squad, Yilmaz, but he plays today. Will continue the build up to Ibrox in the not too distant future. It's a bit more end to end at Fir Park now, Mark Wilson.
Yeah, without doubt. Motherwell just moments ago cross into the box, Nat Phillips having to stoop and deal with a real awkward one, and then at the other end Celtic work it, and they work it from side to side. Eventually gets it to Maeda, who has a shot, but again, nothing real clear cut for Celtic. But Motherwell having a good goal at the minute, committing bodies forward. That might just suit Celtic.
I can rarely recall that the St Johnstone game at Celtic Park was probably the one where Celtic had a day like this, where they failed to score against the bottom club, and they're having that kind of afternoon. They're not even making the chances that they made against St Johnstone and failed to take them. So it's a real possibility of Celtic dropping league points that you would never have thought they would drop today.
I think this is Motherwell's best spell of the game. I think they're getting in behind and they're putting a couple of balls across the face that Celtic aren't really dealing with convincingly, you've got to say. Don't really look assured, and Bear just sprung into life there moments ago. He got in the inside left channel. Scales actually got across and made a good block on him, but Kettlewell will be, I think, pleased at how his team's come into
this. The only
this.
thing that worried me a little bit, Mark, I know you're rightly saying there about Motherwell coming into it. They're starting to get more confident. They've had this game plan. They're throwing more bodies forward.
Space at the other end.
Yeah, you just got to be careful. I think Motherwell this afternoon, I think Celtic played in at Motherwell's hand the way they played the ball. I think the pace that Celtic played this afternoon has been far too slow for me. It really has. It's given Motherwell every opportunity to regroup, get into their shape and make it difficult.
Ollie Watkins hat-trick, Hugh. He is not flavour of the month amongst the Keevins grandchildren. 4-1 Villa against Brighton.
I'm amazed because Brighton were good enough to start the day third in the English Premier League, but that's a going over. No two ways about that.
Double change for Motherwell. Suarez returns after a relatively long injury, and along with Ollie Shaw replaces Theo Bair and Stephen O'Donnell. So just like for like, perhaps Suarez, he might go to left wing back and Spencer might come over to the right, but either way it's like for like in that regard. Ollie Shaw on for Theo Bair, and O is going to come on for Celtic.
Well, for me that's the last throw of the dice, because he scored a few goals last season, but he doesn't look a natural chance taker for me. But Brendan Rodgers is in that part of the game now where he's got to try, got to gamble, got to do something, because they just don't look like scoring.
Chance for James Forrest, slightly miscues it into Liam Kelly's arms, so still goalless as teams start making more changes in this one.
Yeah, I can see Oakham. There's something I know I quite like, Gordon.
Huge chance, Blair Spittle. It's a great move and it's fired again, and it's the feet of Scott Bain for the second time this afternoon. Motherwell with another big opportunity, and it's a save from Scott Bain.
Well, there's no two ways about it that this has been a decent performance by Motherwell and a severely under par performance from Celtic. not what Brendan Rodgers was looking for, either in terms of league progress at the top of the Championship or in terms of building confidence for Lazio's visit in the Champions League.
We're now in the situation for Celtic that, forget the performance, it's not been that great. It's all about get the 3 points. You look back away to Livingston, 3 points. If you can get 3 points today away at Motherwell, not played well, 3 points. It's all about 3 points now. That's what territory they're in.
Yeah, you can't turn this into a good performance now. There's only
it's
20 minutes left.
No. Too late.
No, that's right. All about results, getting the goal and ozone. I wonder if Brendan Rodgers must be thinking a few others as well.
Yeah, again, I mean, like Luis Palma as an example.
Exactly. Why would you not put him on to try and make something?
Tell you what, it's a good save from Scott Bain, Gordon, and it's a good chance from Motherwell. It's that's been a real theme of their play, that area, and slipping guys like Blair Spittle into the box. He doesn't do loads wrong.
You can see the work on that. It was the same sort of a Slattery at Tynecastle, same movement, ball into Slattery, he buries it that time. I've got to say, when I seen Spittle in that position on that right foot, I was expecting that net to be bulging, but all credit to the stand-in keeper Bain. I thought it was a good save.
It can always be a bit of both, Mark. Still you might expect Spittle to score, but Bain probably gets his angles almost spot on, which means the area to aim for in that bottom corner's not quite there.
Yeah. He does well there. Saves with the feet. I was same as Daz. When you see Spittle getting into that area, he's so good on that right foot. That's a good save. We've had 2 good chances in this game. One falling to Maeda, that one for Motherwell, and Bain's pulled Celtic out a hole there.
Maeda's is really poor, isn't it?
Oh, really poor. I mean, a striker coming in on his right foot for the edge, the corner of the 6-yard box. There's not even a lot of pace in the ball. He just needs to guide it into that far corner. He gets it all wrong.
Play all day.
Well, you could be right, Hugh. Yeah.
You're running out of time, about 20 left. You would have to say there will obviously be some additional minutes as part of that. We've given you team news from Rangers. That's a big one as well, isn't it? We're talking about here. There's a long way to go in this, so we don't know what happens. But if Hugh's theory comes to pass and Celtic drop points, which they might not, Rangers need to make sure they respond, and they've got personnel issues today.
Yeah, it puts a little added pressure on, a good pressure, you've got to say. If Celtic do drop points, you've got a great opportunity closing that gap. You're at home. Yes, Aberdeen have picked up a couple of good results against Ross County. I'm still expecting a performance from Rangers, because if you look at it, they're winning games, they're not conceding goals, which is so important. They're at home today, and the extra advantage there, if Celtic, I don't know if there's going to be a goal or not, we've still got a bit of time to play, but that little bit of encouragement to go and say, right, what an opportunity to close the gap here.
I'd see it the other way. I don't think it's a pressure, I think it's a gift. You've been handed a gift. If Celtic drop 2 points or maybe all 3,
no, it's a pressure, because if you're sitting at 0-0 at Ibrox and
the expectation
Celtic,
level goes through the roof.
You will hear a crowd, there's no doubt. And if they draw 0-0 and Celtic had to draw 0-0 today, we would have Rangers fans on here at 5 o'clock having a real go.
I know, but beforehand, we're always cutting players slack before anything's happened. If the expectation level goes up, so what? That's for you to deal with. You've been signed by Rangers.
Well, no one said it was a problem. People are just saying that it happens.
Well, my take on it is that if the expectation level goes up, then you just have to deal with that.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's arguing that point. Triple sub coming on, I assume, for Celtic, and this would be the last throw of the dice, as was referred to not so long ago. Still waiting on details of that one. We're on about 75 minutes on the clock, maybe just beyond. Turnbull, O and Palma replacing Hatate, Kyogo and Maeda.
Yeah.
So 3 big players coming off for Celtic.
Well, the argument would be that guys like Kyogo, keep him on the pitch because he's your top striker and you never know what might happen. But he's been given a fair length of time now, and any player is coming off today for Celtic. I don't think they can have any argument, because they've had 75 minutes nothingness really. So over to the other 3 who have sat on the bench.
Very different look to that Celtic team now, though. Gordon, you're big on this. about always keeping your main striker on. You just simply can't do that. It's not going to. But is this one where you think, ooh, Kyogo might be worth keeping on?
Because you've come out and you've hyped it up this week about your result against Livingston and how things are now starting to progress under Brendan Rodgers' style of football, 10 men, the way they went about their business. They're starting to motor. This has been as flat as a pancake this afternoon. If you're a Celtic fan, you're not kidding me on if you turn around and say, yeah, it's okay, it's been a decent enough performance. This has been poor, but I will always give credit to the underdog, and I think Motherwell have been very well organised and worked their socks off.
How devastated are you that the Saturday show is not live streamed? Can we discuss what that is you've spilt down the front the front of your t-shirt?
I see.
Can you turn around to show?
No. Nobody needs to see that.
Do you know what happened?
What is that? Answer carefully.
It's a white stain.
It's yogurt. Right, and do you know what happened? A wee bit fell, so I thought I'll give it a wipe while nobody's looking, and it's actually made it worse. It's like a when your windscreen gets cracked. I was going to say something else. It's when your windscreen gets cracked and it's small, and then you could just get bigger and bigger.
Look at the state of that. So to paint the picture, since we're not on live stream
today, I can't go to Asda after
it is
work.
a blue. It's a fetching sort of dark blue t-shirt he's got on. It's got a massive white yogurt. That's the story. He's
Sponge.
Right down.
I was hoping nobody noticed that. Right, I'm getting in there because I've obviously got a wee baby wipe and get that sorted by
Roger Hannah would like a photo.
No,
I won't put it. I'll just send it to him. Come on. Thank you.
What's big boulder he'd want a photo for?
That's a weird mix of food you're eating anyway. He's got in that tub. He's brought in his own tub that he's made. Jelly, cream, banana, and what else is in there?
Yogurt,
jelly.
I love a jelly.
In the one tub.
A man in his 60s eating jelly.
It's disgusting.
That was for like children's birthday parties.
A 5 cal jelly just gives you that energy to get through this show and after.
Jelly.
I love jelly. Love it.
I think jelly is one of the most pointless foods, if you can even call it that.
You stick a wee banana and a wee bit of yogurt in there. Beautiful.
It just does nothing.
Sprinkly granola.
Oh, I agree with the Dazzler. I love jelly.
Well, there we are. That's the endorsement I was hoping for.
You don't agree with me.
Because when they were growing up, there was very few desserts going about. Jelly was the affordable dish.
Still is for me.
I think this now becomes a shocker of a day for Celtic. You know, with Kyogo, Maeda and Hatate all going off, and it's Brendan Rodgers basically just throwing anybody at it in the hope that he'll get one lucky goal.
I do agree with that, Hugh. I think he's just decided, look, I'll get somebody on there. Can somebody bail us out here? Because they have really struggled this afternoon.
They're not throwing anybody at it. Palmer was signed to win games.
You've signed Palmer for a lot of money, and you need to win a game. You put him on to try and win the game.
It's not like you're throwing me on up front and going, right, just get a knock on. You're not throwing anybody on.
Look, he's been that poor this afternoon. Look at the substitutions he's made.
But guys, these guys that have come on are paid a wage for Celtic to win games.
I think is the point. It's what they're there for.
Well,
what's the point in having a substitution bench if you're not going to put on guys who are fit in the position?
Well, to do it 3 at a time at this stage in the game smacks of desperation.
No, because where have you been in the last 2 years since you've been able to use 5 subs? Teams, if they need a result, make 3 changes.
Yeah, but I understand that. But what I'm looking at smacks of desperation.
Well, when it's 0-0, of course you're desperate to get a result. But I wouldn't agree it's just throwing anything or random players in the front line. Palma and Turnbull front. I think the Celtic fans would start heading for the exits.
If who come on?
Him.
If I came on up
Celtic's
front,
Mark Wilson.
just hear the grumble.
He would get plenty running about. You wouldn't get any positivity out of it, but you get
a lot of good stats.
Seen a Monday, he'd be sitting waiting for that paper to go up.
I did used to check it every Monday. How much I ran.
Who was always the worst? There must be somebody.
Who was the worst?
I reckon I probably would be up there.
Strikers obviously don't run a lot, did they?
Nah.
Centre halves.
Just back to halfway line when it was
Big John Harrison. He wasn't a fan of running.
Did he ever start?
He could put the ball in the back of the net, but he didn't like running.
There are a few strikers like that, Maeda.
You were chief among them.
I would suspect. I was a worker.
80 gone at Fir Park. Beyond
Need a
the
goal
80
there.
Still Motherwell. Yes, that's a yeah,
Need a goal.
indeed. That's the sort of cutting edge analysis we're here for.
Yeah.
Motherwell 0, Celtic 0. We've given you team news from Ibrox. I suppose we could carry on with some other team news, try and spread it out a bit. These half 12 kickoffs do certainly make building up to the 3 o'clock games a bit more difficult. What about Kilmarnock, St Mirren, Roger Hannah?
Yeah, two teams, Gordon, are looking to bounce back after the midweek disappointments. Killie lost to Hearts here on Tuesday night in the Viaplay Cup quarter-finals, and St Mirren were eliminated at Easter Road 24 hours later, so they'll both want to bounce back with victories here today. Killie, they're 8th in the table, they're without a win in their 5 games, and they haven't won in the league since they beat Rangers here in the opening evening of the new season. They make 2 changes. Corey Ndaba's in at left back, and Innes Cameron starts up top, with Robbie Dees and young David Watson dropping to the bench. So it's Will Dennis in goal. It's a back 4: Lewis Mayo, Stuart Finlay, Joe Wright and Corey Ndaba. Across the middle, Dan Armstrong, Brad Lyons, Kyle McGuinness and Matty Kennedy. And up top, Kyle Vassell, the skipper, with Innes Cameron on the bench. O'Hara, Dees, Davis, Donnelly, Polworth, McKenzie, Watson, Murray and Dallas. Of course, another second in the league, still splitting the Old Firm as we go into this game this afternoon, and that midweek defeat to Hibs was their first in 10 games. The last 4 meetings here have all been drawn, so they do have a decent record down here in terms of picking up points, but it's 10 years since they won a game here. John McGinn among the scorers in a 3-1 success. They make 3 changes from the midweek. In come Dunn, Bacchus and McMenamin. Out go Taylor, Olusanya and Boyd Munce. So it's Zach Hemming in goal, Marcus Fraser, Alec Gogic and Charles Dunn are the back 3. Ryan Strain, Keanu Bacchus, Marco Hara and Scott Tanzer across the middle, with Conor McMenamin, Michael Mandron and Greg Kilty up top. On the bench are Minsky, Bolton and Taylor, Small, Flynn and Olusanya, Grieve, Namani and Caelan Boyd Munce, Gordon, who spent yesterday graduating with a Bachelor of Honours in Law from the Open University.
Yeah, speaking of educated footballers, Gordon Dalziel, let me tell you about this big chance for James Forrest. It's Palma, it's a great cross from the left, a Forrest header. It's clearly not his strong suit. He's only 8 yards out and it goes straight at Liam Kelly. Celtic are pushing and pushing now because David Turnbull had a shot deflected wide a moment or two prior to that header.
Yeah, it's become a little bit of an open game now. Celtic obviously going for it. They're
Matt Phillips in the book, sorry.
Yeah, the one goal certainly picks up the 3 points for whoever gets it. Motherwell just need to be careful. They'll fancy maybe an upset here, but just be careful. I would, if I was Stuart Kettlewell, after the 2 recent results, I know the performance is good, I'd quite happy to take a point.
It's exactly the type of introduction Brendan Rodgers was hoping for from Palma. Mark, it's a brilliant cross. It's right on the money. He's 6 yards out, centre of the goal, James Forrest, and he heads it straight at Liam Kelly. It's
a brilliant ball from Palma. Doesn't have to go past the defender, just stands up right in the 6 yard line. Forrest has come off the back, a spittle there, is it? And if anywhere else in the goal, you know, it's in, but he's put it right at Kelly, and that could just be the big opportunity that they were waiting for.
That's massive.
You're always wanting more chances, and I would agree with you. I'm not saying Celtic have been free flowing and creating loads when they clearly haven't, but between that and Maeda, they're verging on easy chances.
Yeah, I could probably excuse Maeda a little bit more than Forrest, because I don't think you're going to get a better chance. No, I think that Forrest should hit the back end.
And he knows that as well. I mean, the pained look on his face, he knows exactly what should have happened there, and it was a brilliant cross from Louis Palma, and that was the get out of jail moment for Celtic, and they failed to take it. So I think this is going to now end in a goalless draw.
It's as easy a header as you'd hope to get for a front man, because the ball is curving in towards Liam Kelly as well. The pace is on it. All you need to do is just direct it either corner. Yeah,
just either corner to where it came, and you're in.
Yeah.
You're killing the goalkeeper. That was the only way the goalkeeper could have saved that, was the fact that James Forrest headed it right at him. He's not getting that if he puts it.
It was a great height as well, wasn't it, for the goalkeeper?
Yeah. It's a bad miss.
I'm not sure I can cut James Forrest any slack. Just to explore the possibility, is it a touch high in this, or does he not have time? It doesn't seem like he's ever even close to being able to direct it downwards. Why is that?
Maybe missed times, but I think it's a magnificent ball. I think, look, James Forrest isn't known for his heading ability, but I still think he should score that, Gordon. Really.
Yeah, probably fair. But anyway, it's going to be an interesting finish either way. Motherwell would love a point, I'm sure. Can they hang on? Can they even muster something up the other end?
Well, Ibrox will be jumping, that's for sure. Because it's an opportunity for Rangers to cut the gap on the back of the results for Celtic. St Johnstone at home. Nothing's guaranteed in football, but a goalless draw against St Johnstone, really. And today, at the end of a week spent trumpeting new contracts for players, it looks like a tawdry end to the week for Celtic.
Or does it?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Luis Palma brought on for one reason and one reason only, and it was to get Celtic the winner, and he may well have done it. It was a brilliant ball. It looked like it was in all the way, and Luis Palma needed something to kickstart his Celtic career, and he might just have it in North Lanarkshire. It's Motherwell 0, Celtic 1.
Ibrox has stopped rocking.
But that's exactly it. I mean, when you've got a guy who's just came to the club and he's sitting on the bench, he hasn't impressed, okay, in the few wee glimpses we've seen him, but you bring him on needing something. What a way to kickstart your Celtic career in a day that's been turgid and slow and never looking like Celtic were going to go over the line. He pops up with a goal, and just when his manager needed it.
What did they say about concentration? Your Motherwell, you feel
You're
that
nearly there.
Yeah, you feel that you can smell that point that you're thinking this has been a good performance. That's what happens when you don't concentrate.
Yeah, Motherwell 0, Celtic 1, and Luis Palma. Sometimes players just need something to spark the career at a new club, and I have to say, I'm not sure it's even a shot. I think it might be a cross, and great for him. From a Motherwell perspective, Gordon, I'm not sure. Dan Casey, does he think Liam Kelly's going to get it? It's not great.
Do you know something? Mark will tell you better now. He's a defender. I think the balls are terrific to defend. I really do, because the goalkeeper doesn't know where to come. The defender didn't know where to touch in case it goes in the back of the net. And obviously, yeah, Casey's but is it Casey in the middle, Gordon? Yeah. He's just stuck out the road. I don't think you can look at your goalkeeper at that. I think your centre back ducks out the road.
I don't know if it's still a bit far away. I think Casey's concern is he would have to outstretch his leg to get it, and it would go in. Anyway, it's a terrific ball. I don't think it's a shot. I think it's a cross. And he had one moments ago. It was curving in towards Kelly, and Forrest should have scored. Quite evident what we're going to see for Palma. Not a player that probably isn't going to jink by people easily, but he's one that's going to get the ball at his body and deliver it, and he's put it in a good area, and it's got Celtic off the hook here at Fir Park.
Well, it's a sickener for Motherwell, but brilliant from Celtic, and that's why everybody says that you become the champions at the end of the season. You look back in games like this when you're really, really struggling, not played well, and you've had to count on the substitute to come on and really get you out of a hole, and that's what they're there for. And you never stop concentrating when you're playing a team with Celtic. There's always going to be a chance, whether it be first minute or a 90 plus minute, because they're so dangerous.
So Stuart Kettlewell, in the space of a week, has watched the ball hit off Dessers when he knew nothing about it and go into the goal, costing Motherwell 3 points, and now he's watched Louis Palma put in a cross that ends up as a goal.
Must be someone's fault though, because I think last you two said it wasn't Kelly.
By the way,
or Casey. It must be someone.
I just watched the build-up though. I think when you trace it back, Motherwell just switched off before the ball got to Palma. That allowed them to just drift out. I think Celtic's movement took whoever it was in that right hand side
once
away.
the ball comes in, one of those two can deal with that.
Of course they can. Almudaz, I wouldn't point the finger at the goalkeeper there. So if anybody, maybe Casey could have outstretched a leg, and I think then it's 50-50. If you move your feet enough, you get in a good position. I think
the two of them really get caught wondering who's got to take charge of the situation. I really do. I think Casey's ducked out the road if to say to Kelly, look, you save it, and Kelly's looking for Casey, you get that ball clear here. I
think it's too late for the goalkeeper by that judge, because the defender's the first port of call. Once he makes up his mind, that split second, you're never getting down to it.
Do you know something, Matt? You're saying about it was a cross, right? But let me tell you, It's magnificent because he's put it in there. He's got two options now. You've got, well, three. An own goal with Casey could have put it in the back of the net. You could have had a striker going in and finishing that, or it lands in the back of the net where it was. So you've got to give the credit to Palmer. I thought that was a brilliant ball from the wide area. I really did.
I suspect Stuart Kettlewell will be a touch more critical on his team's ability to keep that out.
You can narrow it down. Mark can talk about the lead up to the cross coming in. Could they do better? Yes. When you narrow it down Monday at the video,
no, but that's session, what I'm saying. I don't think you have to trace it back. I don't think it needs spectacularly narrowed.
You think that one of the
down.
two guys in the well,
that's fairly obvious.
I just think it's
if
that
a cross ends up getting in the back of the net like that, it's different if it's one that sails away over someone's head. If it
I think there's
in
good
front
pace
of,
on it.
I think those ones are harder, Gordon, to defend against than one that sails over. I think when it
sails over and
bounces,
it's physically impossible to reach, though. It would be the point.
I'm just telling you from my point of view. I think Casey has pulled he's not attempted because he thinks it's that good a ball. He's going to deflect it in. So better hope my goalkeeper reads it. And I think Daz is right. The goalkeeper obviously thinks Casey's going to defend it. Between them, okay, yeah.
I think the pace of the ball kills the two of them. I really do. I think the pace and the whippy kills him.
If Brendan Rodgers could call a win over Livy a monumental result, what will he call this? Because this really is the get out of jail goal from Louis Palmer. And Greg Taylor in some trouble. Motherwell.
Yeah, it was a sore one. Taylor.
Thought it was a reckless challenge on him. But anyway, if Celtic get over the line, this is get out of jail time.
See what we've got to remember in this game, right? See if Celtic scored in the first 30 seconds of this game, we wouldn't be going they got out of jail, right? This game's 90 plus minutes now. You have got to, if your Motherwell got to concentrate and defend for 90 plus minutes and try and keep that point. And for Celtic's point of view, it doesn't matter if you score in the first 30 seconds or the last 30 seconds. I said it's all about getting down that M8 with the 3 points.
Oh, you're up there 74 for sure.
74. Some of the boys live down there, mate. They like to go that way because of traffic. But it's all about the valuable 3 points. The performance issue had gone after 70 minutes. Celtic were not at their best, and a lot of that credit was given to Motherwell. It was then all about getting the 3 points, and they look like they've achieved that.
Yeah, it certainly does. 4 added on. We've played more than 3 of those, so we're not far away at all. 5 added on, at the end of this game. Doesn't really look like a Motherwell reaction is on the card. Their best spell probably came just maybe 10 minutes or so before Celtic scored. 15 minutes before.
Yep.
Had a few chances,
and
but
to be fair, before the game I underlined my belief that Celtic should have signed a goalkeeper in the summertime. But to be fair to Scott Bain, he has made a colossal contribution to this win for Celtic, because he's done well at crucial times when he had to be alert. He was, and he definitely gets pass marks.
Save from Spittle's definitely crucial, because at that time of the game it was Motherwell's best spell. It was low down to his right side. Spittle, maybe Stuart Kettlewell will say he should have scored, but he gets in target and it's low, so cut him a bit of slack there. But it's a good stop from Bain, and yeah, he can take credit this afternoon.
Well, it looks like Celtic will leave Motherwell, whichever road they decide to take, with all 3 points.
The redemption road they've taken.
That late Louis Palmer goal put it into an area Motherwell couldn't deal with it, and it ended up in the back of the net. Motherwell defended well for so long. Celtic looked blunt in attack for so long, and we've got another goal at Fir Park. Which way has it gone?
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's an equaliser for the Steelmen. Blair Spittle, who had that chance earlier on, he makes no mistake, and Motherwell look like they have rescued a point at the end. Chaos ensuing at Fir Park. What a moment that could turn out to be. You do the usual, have a look, double check, make sure VAR hasn't got other ideas, but for now Motherwell are level, and just when it looked like Celtic had nicked all 3 points, Motherwell go nick one back. Some fans on the pitch. It is chaos indeed, but we think Motherwell are level. Hugh Keevins.
Well, that adds to the disgust that the Celtic supporters must feel about today, because to be in that position where you've got the get out of jail goal from Louis Palmer and then not to hold on to it, it is a shocker of a day for Celtic, and Ibrox has started to rock again.
It has indeed, and you have to say Blair Spittle, arguably Motherwell's performer of the season so far. It's just a lovely goal, Gordon Dalziel. Great composure, great feet. Shifts it past a couple of Celtic players in the box and finds that bottom corner.
Well, we said earlier that there was question marks. Should he have scored with his first chance? He certainly scored with his second one.
It's a similar,
yeah,
similar, isn't it?
Like, he takes a it comes from that long throw-in again. As I said, Motherwell will always cause problems. Scales heads it out. It's a 1-2.
Hold on, we're not done yet.
Goal flashes with M&D Green
No
Pharmacy.
way.
Matt O'Reilly, it is now the Celtic fans that are on the pitch at the other end. The man who's signed a new contract this morning looks like he has nicked it back for Celtic. It is Motherwell 1, Celtic 2. An incredible end to this game of football. Hugh Keevins.
Well, sensational. I no longer understand what's going on at Fir Park, because
Game of the season.
how did Motherwell not hold on to what they had? You've been given the equaliser, and that you have an obligation to just park the bus. But not only have they not parked the bus, they've let the bus drive into their goal.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Poor from who?
Poor at
First.
Well, we've not even had a real chance to analyse the Spittle goal, which was a terrific goal from him, and Celtic go up the other end. I mean, Motherwell just retreat everybody back to their own 18-yard line, almost inviting Celtic on. And of course, if you do that, you always run the risk of conceding again. And Celtic, say what you want about them, these players been over the course and distance. They are resilient, they know how to do it, and it's a terrific finish from Matt O'Reilly at the back post. However, if you're Stuart Kettlewell and you analyse this goal, then you are wondering where your backline are, because Matt O'Reilly has just stolen at the back post unopposed and finishes it.
Ibrox has stopped rocking
So it has,
again.
Yep, I was struggling to keep up. Hugh Keevins, Gordon Dalziel. Do the positive bit first. That's a great finish from a man who, before the game, we said he's been Celtic's main man this season.
Well, the one thing we've said is he's added goals to his game, and there's a very important goal. You know, he makes a terrific run, back post.
Oh, what a ball.
Nobody picks him up. It's a terrific pick out. He's got the composure, side foot, gives Liam Kelly absolutely no chance. Taylor, left foot, looks, sees the run. Nobody picks O'Reilly up. When he gets there, he's composed, he's on the side foot, and he leaves the goalkeeper no chance, and surely wins the game now for Celtic.
It's a brilliant finish. It's a brilliant finish, because the pressure's on you at that period. He knows that's the last chance of the game, and just to control it into the roof of the net, terrific. But what a ball from Taylor. I was criticising Taylor in the first half for having too many of those crosses. He gets this one right in the money just when his manager needs it.
And again, he's been quiet today, Matt O'Reilly. Gordon, by his standards, pops up with a huge moment. Motherwell Stuart Kettle will be furious. You watch that defending, he just allowed to waltz into the box unopposed.
But that's the difference with Matt O'Reilly this season, Gordon.
Full time, Gabriel is there.
Gordon, I cannot believe my eyes here. Full time, Motherwell 1, Celtic 2. Celtic thought they'd won it in the 88th minute when substitute Lewis Palmer came off the bench to put them ahead with a brilliant whipped in cross. Then Blair Spittle in the 95th minute equalised for Motherwell, and you have to say at that point it seemed like it was deserved for the hosts. But then straight up the other end came Celtic again, refusing to give up. A ball in from the left hand side again, and there was the man of the moment, Matt O'Reilly, on the day he signed his new 5-year deal, at the back post to volley in with his right foot to the roof of the net. It was bedlam here, fans from both sides on the pitch in the last 5 minutes. A huge 3 points for Celtic. What a significant result this could be come the end of the season. And you wouldn't believe it, having watched 85 minutes of this game. It was slow, it was not good enough from Celtic. That's what Brendan Rodgers will be thinking. They had the majority of the ball, struggled to create chances in the first 45 minutes. It was actually Motherwell that had the first big chance with Harry Payton. In the second half, there was a bit more end-to-end. Maeda had a huge chance. He blazed over from inside the box when he looked like he had to score. Then came a massive opportunity for Blair Spittle. A great move, central inside the box, fired it low, but a magnificent save from Scott Bain. Celtic have their standing keeper to thank, certainly for the 3 points today. Celtic made 5 attacking substitutions. Forrest came on. He had a header that looked like it would be their best opportunity. A brilliant ball in from the left from Lewis Palmer, a Forest header straight into the keeper's arms, and you thought perhaps Celtic, it will not be their day. But then 2 minutes later, Palmer got the ball again on the left-hand side, whipped in a fantastic cross. No one touched it. It rifled into the back of the net, and you thought that was it, but it wasn't. Spittle straight up the other end, Motherwell's best player this season. He was composed in the box, he fired it in. Stuart Kettlewell elated on the touchline. He thought his side had earned a point, but as I said, up goes Celtic. Matt O'Reilly at the back post. He fires the ball into the roof of the net, and it is 3 points for the Hoops on a day when they look like they might open the door for Rangers in the title race. It stays slammed shut. You can hear what it means to the fans here. They go 5 points clear of St Mirren at the top of the league, with everyone playing next. Brendan Rodgers applauding the supporting supporters. Oh, I've got to catch my breath, Gordon. Full time here at Fir Park. Motherwell 1, Celtic 2.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard. The Clyde 1 Super Scoreboard podcast with lookers.co.uk. Buy or sell your vehicle the simple way. Visit them online today.